Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone! You are the Calder Trophy winner.
Good.
Just a lot. My nana's been through the wall right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you crying? Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
But Walker was there, and Walker will kill that. Here comes Blake. Hands it off for Hall. Corner puck scores! It's Logan Stankoven.
The other end. Nature's with room to shoot. Passing. Kulak scores! Keep it deep. Broken up by William Karlsson. He springs a man. Mitch Marner, who's in, and he stops it home. Mitchell Marner.
His shot blocked. Caulfield, pick up, scores! Cole! Caulfield! Shooting late, in front of the net, scores! Zach Benson! Suzuki in front, scores! And Duke! Shots in the series, so that leads everybody. Owen Power down low, scores! Rasmus Dahlin!
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Here's Byram shooting, and that's him! Whistle! Waved off!
Wasn't bullshit!
Carrier ahead. Over the line comes Newhook. Shooting. Scores! Alex Newhook! Ole! And Montreal is going to play Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final.
What an amazing second round. Couple of really short series yet again. And also just two other series. One, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. And then you got that Buffalo-Montreal series. Wow. What a series. Unbelievable. Welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of Big Apple Hockey, where we're going to go over the conference finals previews for today, which begin tomorrow night. Delighted to be back with you all after the week off we had. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams. Like I said, poutine for everybody up in Montreal. But again, congratulations, Anna, graduating from ASU. And also, Michael, I'm glad you're doing well right now. Joined by the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Filkowski.
Yeah, playoffs are picking up. We're on to the conference finals now. And, this is going to be an interesting series here. So, he got it already. Good on you, buddy. But, it's going to be interesting to see what Carolina does against a better team. And you got a compliment right here, bud.
Thank you, Johnny.
Lazarus coming in there.
Thank you.
Johnny,
I think I did those openings.
The Rangers wrap up.
Yeah, we got to get that started. A Rangers wrap up, and of course, the man who's got his fingers right on the pulse of the year calendars, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, conference finals. I think everyone's two favorites, Colorado and Carolina, obviously still there. But I think ultimately that's going to be your Stanley Cup final. But Vegas and Montreal may have something to say about that. But yeah, we're coming down to the wire here.
Yeah, it's going to be I think this is going to be a great conference finals. I think a lot of people kind of think there's going to be two sacrificial lambs. I disagree entirely. And yes, Johnny, you're always welcome to come on with us. Always great to have the great Johnny Lazarus on. And also nice to see the highlights from the game at UBS on Sunday night. But let's get to a little bit of the A block. Let's talk about an award that was handed out last week to one Matthew Schaefer. Of course, the A block is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. But Matthew Schaefer unanimously winning the Calder Trophy. And guys, that's surprising to me because usually there's like one writer that wants to put their guy in there or something. This was everybody making Matthew Schaefer number one. And I mean, all credit to Ivan Demidov, Beckett Seneca, and I mean, there's a lot of Jesper Wallstedt. There was a lot of good rookies this year, but this guy was the clear-cut favorite. Anthony, this is your beat. We've been calling for this all season, and just the thoughts on him getting the award and his reaction.
I mean, we all knew it. Everybody knew he was winning the Calder Trophy. He ran away with it. What he did as an 18-year-old is impressive enough, but an 18-year-old defenseman on top of that, who only played 17 games last year due to injury, and he came in and he set the league ablaze. Actually, I'm going to pause myself right here, Mark, because the second time you wrote Schaefer's name there, you butchered it. You wrote Schaefer.
Oh boy!
So
where the hell did that R come from?
But yeah, the kid is amazing. This is just to put things in perspective, and believe me, I'm not saying that Matthew Schaefer is Cale Makar right now, but in context, when Cale Makar was Matthew Schaefer's age, he was still playing in the AJHL. Okay. Matthew Schaefer's 18. He comes in the NHL and he looks like just an unreal defenseman right off the bat. So I think the sky's the limit for this kid. And what makes this even better of a story is how good of a person he is. How much a head he has on his shoulders at his age. After winning the Calder, he comes out. He's partnering with Northwell here on Long Island for children battling cancer themselves or kids who lost parents to cancer. He's going to be the poster child of that, and he's just mature beyond his years. You saw when he got awarded the award on GMA how emotional he was and how he talked about his nana's not doing well, and it's just he's not afraid to show any emotion, whether it's tears or just goofing off. It's just a well-rounded kid. He's easy to root for. I mean, you have Ranger fans in droves that say it's hard not to root for this kid. I know Johnny in the comments loves him, and how could you not? He's just a great hockey player, an even better person. And, the Islanders are fortunate that they have some like him wearing his jersey.
That is great to see. Great. That is great to see. Yeah. Phil, just before I turn it over to you, absolutely. It's so great to see this kid showing emotion. And for any Ranger fan that's sitting there going, how he's always showing this emotion, Mark Massey has showed quite a amount of emotion back in the day.
This is actually a really good question. It's just like, who's going to be this guy's enemy? Like, I know teams try to take runs at him to kind of throw him off his game, and you kind of have to do that with any skill player, whether it's from Wayne Gretzky to Mario Lemieux to Sidney Crosby. They've all gone through it. But, it really kind of sums it up. Like, I've always said that, obviously me going through the same thing that he did at the same age for the same exact reason. It's just I'll always have a soft spot for him. He's become one of 4 Islanders that I absolutely loved while they were Islanders. So I'm very, very happy for him. I'm actually ecstatic for him. I knew he was going to be the winner, a runaway winner, but unanimous? That I didn't expect. I thought there would be first place votes for Seneca and Demidov, at least.
Especially in their local markets.
Yeah, Montreal, look at that team. Like, the market that they're in. You thought some homer wasn't going to give Demidov a first place vote over Schaefer? Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm absolutely surprised by it. But, he really, and Matt kind of said it best. It's awesome to see. He's so humble. He's a goof. He's everything you want. He's almost like a hockey bro without like the dick part of being a hockey bro, because a lot of hockey bros can be dicks. So he's just a goof. He's a good kid. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a guiding light in his corner every single day. I know that when he wakes up, the first thing he probably thinks about is, how can I be a better person? How can I make my mother happy? And Matthew, I'm going to tell you right now, you've definitely done that, and you're continuing to do that. So go out there, continue to do what you're doing, and you're going to be a great player. And I hate the fact that you are an Islander. That's all I can say about that. I hate the fact that this kid's an Islander because he's so good. He's so easy to root for, very hard to root against. Very, 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 very likable player. He needs to be one of the faces of the league for a long time.
Well, that's why I made the AI video about the Schaefer energy drink, that he's just got so much energy. Anthony, you said it before, he's wise beyond his years and mature beyond his years. He's also just got that youthful energy of like an 8-year-old or 10-year-old just running around everywhere. And the Islanders did a perfect job setting him up for success. You paired him with Matt Martin. He's basically like the oldest brother in the family. He's Uncle Jesse in Full House. And
such an underrated point, Mark. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It is, but it's and this is what keeps him. He's both grounded and able to just let fly whenever he wants to. This kid, sky is literally the limit for this kid, and I'm kind of saying that as an understatement. He's grateful for every single second he's in the NHL. And yes, he uses everything he's been through, because not just his mom, his nana's not doing well, as you said before, and also, his billet mom also, there was tragedy there. This kid's already endured so much that a lot of us might have just packed it in. And the way he kind of just goes about his business, it's like he read the Chris Pronger book, Earned. I almost said Unearned. Oops, that would have been the wrong title. But the Chris Pronger book, which is amazing. I am going to do a book review on that one. And this kid, you almost feel like you're Julie Bowen and Happy Gilmore seeing Adam Sandler come in and go, this guy's a marketing executive's dream, because he could do everything. He could absolutely do everything. Phil, go ahead and make that one point you were making just now. Anthony, you're going to go for the last word.
No, all I wanted to say was that it's an underrated point, bringing up what they did with Martin and him, and had him with Matt Martin. And when you have guys like this, you come along, young players that you bring up right away to the NHL level, and they're 18 years old. They're I can tell you at 17, when my mother passed away, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Sorry for the F-bomb there, but like, I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is I wanted to just go out, hang out with my friends, and play some hockey. Here this kid is 17 years old. He's about to make his debut in the NHL. Youngest player in the league. He's away from his family. And what do? They bring in a guy that's universally loved on the island by Islander fans, by the community, everything. Have him stay with him, help him, out with things, how to be a pro, how to live life outside and off the ice and everything, and just insulate him the right way, showing him how to do things, getting from point A to point B, setting up routines and rituals and game day things. Like, all those things are so overlooked by fans and everyone, because we don't get to see what that's like. Hey, we have these routines for work in our daily life, like, hey, Mark, you go to Boss Croker's to bartend on such and such nights. Where do you stop before you go into Boss Croker's, before you go into work? Do you stop into 7-Eleven and get your coffee? Do you stop in here and get something to eat? Anthony, you have a routine when you go to work, when Tony goes to work. These things go so overlooked so often. And the Rangers failed to do this with guys like Kakko and Lafreniere. And we've heard the stories from Steven about Kakko and everything. There's no insulation in that Ranger organization. The Islanders nailed it with this kid. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And I just think that's a point that needs to be stressed, because all teams should be taking a look at what the Islanders did with this kid, and they should be doing it with their own.
Anthony, before I turn over the last word to you, because I really do want to turn over the last word so we can get on with the rest of this. But yeah, no, it's kind of one of those things. It's common knowledge.
Home death, bad taste.
Yeah. But one thing I think we said it earlier this season. I think I described this as a home run, especially knowing this guy. This kid is a 5-run grand slam. That's how much I think the Islanders really knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Filk said is absolutely right. You know, kind of like insulating him and letting him live with Matt Martin and his family. You know, a great family. You know, just show him the ropes and get adjusted to life on Long Island. Was a tremendous move. You know, I think, you know, you have to remember 18. He still is a kind of a kid, and you know, having him, you know, how they say how he interacts with Martin's kids, and you know, he refers to their 2 daughters and their twin boys now as, you know, as brothers and sisters. So you could tell that, you know, he's really kind of made that his home, and you know how much he's appreciative of that. And you got to remember, you know, guy who probably, I don't want to make assumptions, but maybe doesn't do much cooking, like to be able to like live there and get home cooked meals, and you know, something that I feel like every kid needs, even if you're a professional athlete, is big. And I think that has helped his development. And you know, like I said, the Islanders has hit a home run going into last year's draft. It was viewed that, you know, no one in this draft was quote unquote, you know, kind of in that, you know, you often hear that elite to generational word thrown around. And based on his first season here, it looks like Matthew Schaefer is going to be, you know, potentially, you know, get too far ahead of myself, but maybe have a Hall of Fame career. You know, he looked the part right off the bat, and I can't wait to see what he looks like next year and the years forward. Because again, he's 18. Imagine what he's going to look like when he's 25 and he's fully a man and he's filled out and fully grown. And the sky's the limit with this kid.
I've also just got to say this thing too. I've said over and over again, hopefully we could get Matt Martin on during the summer, but I would love to ask him the question of, between your family life, having Matthew there, your father-in-law is Boomer Esiason, diehard Ranger fan. I
was about to say, can we get an insight on like how that little barbecue has to go between the chirps between Schaefer, Martin, Boomer, Sydney? I mean, I think I got blocked by Sydney on Twitter, by the way. That I probably said something about the Islanders that she didn't like. So,
but I mean, I would love to write a pilot for a sitcom about them. That would
it would be hysterical.
It would be hilarious, and you know, probably where Matt's the lead. You have to have where Matt's the lead, so he's got the tough guy thing, and he's like adapting to the life afterwards. But I mean, it's amazing what you got right there. And I'll tell you what, I played hockey against Boomer. Boomer's not fake. Boomer's a genuinely nice person as well. And
pretty sure we played against him too, Anthony.
I don't know if I played against him, but I do know for sure there was one game I had a game at Syosset, and the game going on.
Juan was Boomer, yeah.
He was on the ice. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was playing with you in that one as well.
Yeah, I gotta remember what the name of that team was again. I want to say it was like I can't remember exactly.
Because I remember watching him, but he was, dude, massive human being on skate.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine accidentally like mixed it up with him. So he mixed it up because he fights everybody. He's fought me several times. All right, guys, let's move over to last night, because there's a lot to talk about last night. When the Montreal Canadiens advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals, we're going to get more to that preview in a moment, with a 3-2 overtime win versus the Buffalo Sabres. Alex Newhook, game winner in overtime, the second Game 7 winner he's got in this postseason, considering he's played 2. That's a pretty good percentage. And Anthony, you said it when we were texted back and forth. You had the feeling like Buffalo was going to tie it. They did. They tied it at 2. Minutes later, it looked like they scored the go-ahead goal, but it was a quick whistle. We'll get to that in a second. Filk, I'll let you lead off on this one. What are your thoughts about that game and the rest of that series?
That it was a great series. It really was. I thought there was going to be some offensive firepower here. The game 6 where Buffalo was down 3-1, and then they just ended up going completely off, and scored 7 consecutive goals. Just a great series. Montreal, they locked down at times. Jakub Dobeš, his numbers in the 2 game 7s are unbelievable. I think the numbers you posted were the 956 save percentage in the 2
956 save percentage, yeah.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable. It just goes to show you that you don't need elite goaltending to win. You need goaltending that gets hot at the right times with a good team in front. That's what it comes down to. And go ahead.
Some news here. Darren Dreger said the Canucks, Adam Foote has been let go as head coach.
Oh, Adam Foote's been let go.
Adam Canucks. Oh, Adam wow. Foote. He was an interim, right?
No, they made him the coach last year.
Oh no. Oh no, that's right.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about the whole Tocchet thing. I didn't like I thought the Buffalo goal should have counted. I really do. That was too quick of a whistle. You can't do that. I'm sorry. It just I thought Montreal did a good job with their defensive play overall. Obviously sans game 6, but overall I thought there was a very good defensive performance from them. Caden Gooley looked great. I think he's probably one of the most underrated players in the series. And even in the playoffs in general right now, I just think that he's not getting enough love for as good as he's playing. He's been real physical. He's been all over the place. He's been tough to play against. I think that he's going to be key in some of these. If they can beat Carolina, he'll be key going forward either way. But if they can beat Carolina, that's somebody that you have to watch out for in the finals too, because he's going to get some tough matchups. But Alex Newhook, really, just this guy is he's become Montreal's Arturi Lehkonen. Arturi Lehkonen had that run in 2021 where he was just scoring big goals for them, and now it's Newhook. And I can remember a time where the Rangers wanted the 16th overall pick in 2019 at the 2019 draft for Chris Kreider, and Colorado refused to give it up. Who did Colorado take? Alex Newhook. A guy that they ended up trading to Montreal, got a first-round pick, a prospect, and another, I think it was a second-round pick in that deal for him. In a trade that was viewed as kind of a bit of an overpayment by Montreal at the time, but Newhook is paying some dividends for them right now. There are some guys that could probably provide a little more for Montreal in this next series. We'll see what happens. But Buffalo, you win a series and you come 1 goal away from conference finals after a 13-year stretch of missing the playoffs and being looked at as one of the biggest jokes in all sports.
15.
Buffalo fans, don't feel sorry for yourselves. Don't be mad. It was a great season. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think Alex Tuch will come back. I think they'll be good. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think, especially with Tampa's core getting older, that Buffalo team is primed to be a division leader for a very, very long time.
Yeah, Anthony, what are your thoughts on this game?
I thought Buffalo from the second period on were the better team. I don't think it's any question. I think they deserve to win that game. Just credit to Dobeš in goal. He held down the fort. Montreal they were on their heels. They couldn't really muster anything. They were one and done in the offensive zone. Buffalo missed the net a bunch of times, couldn't convert on their chances. And, that's what happens in hockey. When you let a team hang around that maybe didn't deserve to win, eventually that team's going to get a bounce. And, Montreal found a way in overtime. But I thought it entertaining game. Obviously, you could feel the tension in the building, and you felt the Sabres taking over the game, and they did. Just unfortunate for them, they couldn't find that last goal. And if you ask their fans, they did find the goal, but it got wiped out. But I thought it was a great series. I thought Buffalo gave it everything they had. Montreal hung in there, and they got the job done. But
it's actually lower MYR for life.
Now they have a really big challenge in the Hurricanes, which obviously a lot of people think are going to go to the Stanley Cup Finals and have thought that way since before the playoffs started. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and we're going to get to break that down in a minute. Just let me say this first. Props to Buffalo. I had you, and I think I wasn't alone here. We a lot of us had you left for dead first week of December. You introduced the beer saber, and then the entire team took off. And
they
then
win 3 games in a row, and they fire Adams, and then
they fire Kevin Adams. And I know there's some people that'll probably say Kevin Adams is vindicated right now. Nope, this team really took off as soon as Adams was gone, because once he was gone, then everybody, it seemed like just everybody was more hopeful. They bought into what Lindy was coaching, and this is where now they really look like the team we thought they were going to be. Probably as early as maybe 3 years ago, when they were really starting to knock on the door. And now, can they replicate it later this season? We'll talk about that more maybe later. But this is the type of Game 7 that the network drooled over and wanted. Let's compare this to the Game 7 you saw Sunday night between Cleveland and Detroit in the NBA, where Detroit was just run out of their own building. Not the case right here, and it might look like it early on. Buffalo went down 2-0, but they fought their way back, made it 2-2, arguably made it 3-2, because, guys, it wouldn't be a Buffalo playoff season if there wasn't a controversy about a disallowed goal, right? So right now, it's just you gotta love how this is looking for Buffalo. You gotta love how it's looking for Montreal. Going to make sure that I mute this so that way that doesn't bother anybody else. And this is going to be a great conference finals. We're going to break these series down, and we'll start right now with this. But first, Anthony, I'm going to go back to you. Filk mentioned it on his opinion. Was Buffalo screwed out of that goal?
I mean, I don't like the rule, but based on the rule itself, how the play is blown dead when the referee blows. Actually, no, it's not even when he blows the whistle. Technically, the play is dead the minute there's the intent to blow the whistle. So I know it's bitter for the Sabres to swallow, and it sucks. But ultimately, no, I don't think they got screwed because of that rule. And then the second part, also, the reason why he even got loose like that was because the player on Buffalo basically speared Dobish's pads and knocked the puck loose. So no, if you're a fan, listen, you're upset and it sucks, but the rule's the rule, and yeah. So no, I don't think they were screwed, but it is hard to swallow.
Yeah, there is a little bit of precedence before I just get your last word on this, Phil. Sort of like the Alex Stalock overtime winner for LA, Game 4, first round, 2014, where I think it was Justin Williams just took him and literally speared him into the net, and eventually the puck came loose. And
I don't think that it's as extreme as Anthony said. I disagree there. I mean, can you say that it was covered? I don't know. I still think that was loose. I honestly, all right. So here's my problem. If Henrique's goal against the Rangers that knocked the Rangers out is allowed, why is that one blown that quickly? Like, the puck is literally under Lundqvist for how long in that sequence, and they don't whistle it. The problem is there's just too much inconsistency with it, and the intent to blow the whistle rule is absolute horseshit for me. Absolute horseshit. So I just think that there's no real way to rectify this. because anyway, there's going to be error. There's going to be gray area. There's going to be some sort of error, movement or allowance for error. But I just think that was too quick of a whistle. And we've seen so many scrums throughout the playoffs where they couldn't have had sight of the puck, and it went on for much longer than that. So I just think that that's a situation where the referees need to not interject themselves and let the play out a little bit.
And it's funny you say that, Phil, because you were referring back to the intent to blow the whistle and with the Rangers for a while ago. That actually helped them in 1995 against the Quebec Nordiques, the final series that Quebec Nordiques ever played. And that was where Andy Van Hellemond was called for. I was intent to blow the whistle.
Oh yeah, this comment is so on point.
But there's a lot of that left and right, and something. Buffalo still had their chances, but Zach Benson had a hell of a series.
If you took Sean Avery and raised the skill level from about like 5 or 6 to about an 8, that would be Zach Benson.
All right, boys, let's break down the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference finals right now, because here we are. We're going to figure out who's playing for the Stanley Cup in 2 weeks. We're going to start with the Western Conference finals, where the Colorado Avalanche are 2-0-1 against the Vegas Golden Knights. You see the goal differential right there. Just to mention this one thing, though, that one at the end, that was AT after Torts. The 2 wins were before. You look at the top scorers. We'll show these numbers throughout. And, of course, you know what? It's a shame. The Toronto Maple Leafs really could use a clutch player in the playoffs like Mitch Marner has been. He's been absolutely incredible. If only the Maple Leafs had him. But, Phil, let's go to you first. Actually, yeah, let's go to you first. Give me an overview of this series.
Wow. Perennial favorite versus Tortorella, maybe his most balanced team that he's had since the 2004 Lightning that he won with. Hold on here. Sorry. Yeah, I don't listen. I believe that this is a series in which this is really kind of like the Stanley Cup Finals for me. I think whoever comes out of this is winning this. I believe that the Avalanche are really the team to beat. I always preach you win down the middle. The Avalanche have the advantage over every team down the middle. The one thing I will say is that Vegas is probably the one team that can match up with them there, because now they just got William Karlsson back, and that helps them out quite a bit. Very important two-way player, all situations type guy for them. Former 40-goal scorer. I know we're not counting on him for 40 goals, but he's still a guy that helps out in their middle six. So I love this matchup. I think this is going to be one of the best, if not the best, series in all the playoffs so far. I mean, I know it's going to be tough for a lot of people to have them beat that Montreal Tampa series in that first round, but this is going to be fireworks. These are the two heavyweights going at it. This is your Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder right here. That's what this is. So I love this. You're going to see Nathan McKinnon on a big stage again, just being Nathan McKinnon. Can Jack Eichel do the job that he did on those guys in the Olympics, in the Stanley Cup playoffs? That's going to be something to look out for. Carter Hart versus Mackenzie Blackwood. Interesting goaltending matchup of guys who are not being paid very highly, if you get what I'm getting at there. But Tomas Hertl, what's he going to do? He needs to be better. Not getting a lot of time on ice right now. There are guys that, they have some sleeping giants on both teams. The skating defenseman, Cale Makar versus Shea Theodore. That's something to look out for. Shea Theodore has been really good for them. No Alex Pietrangelo, obviously, because I think he's LTI retired, if we were looking at things in that aspect. But Shea Theodore has been really good. This is Rasmus Anderson's time to shine. big trade deadline acquisition from Calgary. He's got to make a mark. This is a series with a ton of firepower up and down these lineups. So, this is the one I'm really looking forward to. Oh yeah, Dorfiev leading the league in goals with 9 and even strength goals with 6.
Well, Anthony, I hope Phil actually let us come up with some answers that we have coming out here. But Anthony, we'll start with you. What's your key matchup in this series?
I just really think it's going to come down to Carter Hart. Carter Hart during the regular season. Obviously he comes back after the whole fiasco with what went on there. So he's kind of like shaking off the rust. He had an .891 save percentage, which isn't very good, but so far in the playoffs, he's got a .917 save percentage. So, my matchup is, can Carter Hart keep up that level of play? If he, because .917 in the playoffs is really, really good. If he drops somewhat close to being .891 like he was in the regular season, this series is going to be over fast. And against the Colorado Avalanche team that has so much firepower, and the 2 players that had over 100 points in Natchez and McKinnon. Then you have Brock Nelson, a Selke finalist. Then Arturi Lehkonen and Nikushkin. Like, the Avalanche have a lot of weapons that can hurt you. And if Carter Hart doesn't keep up the level of play that he's shown so far in the playoffs, this series won't be close.
Phil, what's your X factors you got for this?
We doing matchup?
Sorry. Key matchup. I jumped one. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say Carter Hart versus either Wood. I love
McKenzie or
either Wood. Oh man, this is actually a tough one for me. I'm probably gonna go Makar versus Theodore at this point. The battle of the puck movers. I want to see which one has more of an impact on the game. I know everybody's going to say Makar because Makar's the better skater, guy that puts up more goals, but Shea Theodore has been really good on both sides of the puck for them. So I think, if anything, Theodore is somebody I'd look out for. Makar needs to be better. More about him a little later, but definitely something to look out for as the clash of the number 1 defenseman against each other.
Yeah, and that's why I had to go with the obvious one. And for me, it's Jack Eichel versus Nate McKinnon. There is, to me, after Connor McDavid, the next best playoff performer of this generation is Nate McKinnon. And when he shows up, it's like lights out for everybody. Now, Jack Eichel a few years ago shut down Connor McDavid en route to their first Stanley Cup. This time around, like last year, couldn't really shut him down, but they kept the kind of low scoring. Now let's see if he could shut down Nate McKinnon, because if he could shut down Nate McKinnon and do what he did in the previous 2 series, and like you said in the Olympics, oof, a lot of people don't like Vegas, but they would be moving on, in my opinion. So, Phil, we're going to go right back to you. What are your X factors?
Oh, X factor. You know what? I'm going to go with the guy that I wanted real badly in the 2019 draft. I'm going to go for Vegas. I'm going to go Pavel Dorofeyev. I just think that the streak that he's on right now is just he's just hot. He's just white hot right now. Again, 9 goals, leads the NHL in goals. 6 goals at even strength, also leads the NHL at even strength goals. Guy's a power play machine apparently during the regular season, but now he's an even strength goal scoring machine in the playoffs. What can you do better? I know that a lot of people are probably going to say Mitch Marner because he's leading the NHL in points. Yeah, I totally understand that, but I mean, that's I look at Dorofeyev and I say, how can this guy keep it up? If he can keep it up, can anybody stop Vegas? because you got to remember he's third on the team in scoring. He's got two guys in front of him that are number 1 and 2 in postseason scoring right now in Marner and Eichel. In Colorado, I would say their big X factor is going to have to be Nathan MacKinnon. Like, I get it. It's easy. It's cliche to say. But Nathan MacKinnon, you just pointed it out before. He's probably the second best postseason scorer of this generation. Like, what do you expect for a guy like MacKinnon? You have to have him out there. Oh, we definitely want to get to this. We definitely want to get to this in a little bit. So we're gonna start this. We're gonna talk about this in a little bit, actually, because that's a good friend of mine right there. That's actually playing in that. So we'll talk about that in a little later. But Nathan MacKinnon is the man. He's the man right now remaining. Like, everybody talks about McDavid, he's the number 1 scorer of this generation of playoffs, and the numbers absolutely back it up. But it is absolutely Nathan MacKinnon here. Colorado goes as he goes. And if Eichel can do the job on him and get him to just stay quiet and shut him down, then Vegas can go a long, long way with that. You got to remember, Tortorella plays Tortorella hockey. And now he has the guys that can really do that at a high level at both ends of the rink. And if Mark Stone is going to play in this series, that's a third Selke caliber player that can not only score but shut you down. He's maybe the best two-way winger in the league in Mark Stone. So, yeah, I got to go with MacKinnon here.
Well, if the day ends in Y, Mark Stone's usually injured. Anthony, who are your X factors?
So my X factor for Vegas is William Karlsson. He came back last round, played 6 games, 3 points, but you got to remember he only played 14 games during the regular season, so he's at a disadvantage. This is a guy that really is just starting to get his conditioning back, and it's almost like he just went through a training camp. So once he gets up to speed and can start playing like the William Karlsson that everyone knows he can, that's going to be a huge lift for Vegas because he can match up against other centers, other top lines, and he can also, chip in offensively and be relied upon to put up consistent points. So, if he's back up to the level of speed he needs to be, which at this time of year, let's face it, I don't think he fully will, because this time of year the intensity is so ramped up, and all these guys have been playing for a whole year already have all that momentum. It's hard for him, but if he gets some semblance of that, that's a huge addition to Vegas. For Colorado, I'm going to go with Gabriel Landeskog, right? This is a guy that has 8 points in 9 games in the playoffs. He's still the heart and soul of the team when it comes to, I think, pulling everybody in the fight and being the leader of that team. He's a guy that clearly is chipping in. He's almost point per game in the playoffs. If he can keep doing that while doing the other things that he does on the ice, that's really invaluable for Colorado. So those would be the 2 guys I would look for this series.
Well, you took one of mine before, Anthony, because I'm going to go William Karlsson too. He's going to be the key part to a lot of the matchups that they're going to play, especially him and Mitch Marner on the same line. And that outlet pass that he gave for that gorgeous goal that Marner scored, I don't know still what's better, that pass or, well, no, the goal is the best part. Let's be honest about that. But that pass or that goal, the finish, I mean, chef's kiss. Mwah. So I got to be impressed with that. And there's a difference in this team when Karlsson plays. That's been going back since their inception. And now you're really kind of seeing it. Obviously, there's some under the radar guys we're going to get to in a second. But man, the Gabriel Landeskog thing, you got a good point with that one. Because if he scores some emotional moment, sort of like he did last year versus Dallas, when he got his first goal since they won the Stanley Cup, and that really kind of sparked them to get past or to try to get past Dallas. Obviously, Mika Rantanen had other ideas, but this is going to be big for Vegas, and especially Phil, as you said before, add Mark Stone in there, and that could be another thing that's could drive them. Anthony, under the radar guys that we're not talking about, who do you got?
For Vegas, I got your former Ranger, Mark. I got to go with Brett Howden. This guy has 8 goals this playoffs. 8 goals, 10 points in 12 games. He kills plenty. He kills penalties. He plays a bottom 6 role. But he's scoring, and he's being a very contributing member of the Golden Knights this playoffs. Without him, you can make a case that Vegas isn't in the conference final. So if they can keep getting that kind of play from Brett Howden, I mean that would be huge for Vegas. And for Colorado, he's not under the radar in the sense of no one knows about him. Obviously, he's one of the best defensemen in the league. But I'm going to go with Devon Toews. Devon Toews, McCarr's partner. McCarr is the flashy one, puts up all the offense. But let's face it, Devon Toews is the real shutdown guy in that pair. He's very good defensively, but he's also very good offensively. This is a player that has 8 points in 9 games. He plays a lot of minutes, and like I said, he could shut you down, and he also moves the puck well, makes a great first pass, and can put up points. So while everyone's looking at Cale Makar, I'm going to be looking at Devon Toews, which it still pains me how the Islanders gave him away.
Well, they knew they had Noah Dobson in the wings, and they had to give him a raise, and they just had to do some juggling. It's we've talked about this several times. I like Devon Toews and what he did, and I actually called him Devon and not Devin. So that should tell you how much I was focused right there. But you're right about that one, Anthony, because Devon Toews is what enables Cale Makar to be Cale Makar. So, Phil, who do you got for your under the radar guys?
So on Vegas, I went with Ivan Barbashev. There needs to be a little more from Ivan Barbashev. He's a guy with cup winning experience, obviously with 2 cups, one with St. Louis, one with Vegas. And then Arturi Lehkonen, who has had a history of scoring big goals in the past in playoff runs for both Colorado and Montreal. Again, somebody who I think could be doing a little more to help his team out. I just think these two are primed to score some big goals in this series and kind of say, hey, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. And I think you're going to see that from both of them in this series.
I can't believe how well Brett Howden is playing, and that's why I don't know if he qualifies for under the radar, but I put him there anyway. I got Brett Howden, and I got Ross Colton. Ross Colton was instrumental for Tampa Bay's last Stanley Cup run, and he was huge for them. That's a guy, if he lets his physical presence be known, he's on a line with Brock Nelson and Nicholas. Is that Roy or is that Y? I always forget.
That's Y.
That's Y.
Matt
Okay.
Roy. Matt Roy is Roy, and then Nick Waugh is Waugh.
Okay, good. So, but Nick Waugh, you got a lot of guys you could go for Colorado. Hell, Jack Drury, even Logan O'Connor are 2 guys. And let's never forget Joel Kiviranta, who had a hat trick in a Game 7 against Colorado. He's on their 4th line. So this is a team that you loaded with guys that you might not be talking about that can contribute to them moving on. I love Ross Colton, and I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be somebody that is going to make his presence known, and soon enough. Here we go, guys. Prediction time on this series. Phil, lead us off.
It's crazy because I'm going to go against my brackets, but after watching these 2 rounds, I believe it's going to be Colorado in 7. I just think that Vegas is going to have a little trouble handling the skating and the puck moving from the back end. Brett Kulak has been better than I thought he would be for them. I openly criticized that Sam Girard trade, didn't like it, but Brett Kulak scored a series winner for Colorado. I just think this is. I don't think McKinnon has been McKinnon. I think he's going to be McKinnon in this series. I know the numbers say that he's been McKinnon, but it's deceptive to me. I think he's going to be better. If Makar is not hurt, I think he's going to have a big round. So yeah, I'm gonna go Avs in 7. I know that I picked Vegas in my brackets, but I just the more and more I look at this Colorado team, and the more I realize that their guys haven't really been their guys, that scares me if I'm Vegas.
Anthony, who you got?
I'm going Avs in 6. They just think the Avalanche are too good. And credit to Vegas for getting to the conference final after a year in the Pacific. That was just a bunch of average. I mean, the Oilers, the Ducks, Vegas, LA, like all those teams, like who's really going to come out of the Pacific? They talked about that division was probably the worst in hockey. And look who Vegas played in the first 2 rounds. I'm not trying to beat them, take anything away from them, but what do those 2 teams have in common? Utah and Anaheim. Basically no playoff experience for those teams. Young teams with players. You have some veterans sprinkled in on both sides that have some experience, but teams that haven't been there before. And Vegas is very experienced. Now they're going to go up against a team in Colorado that have cup-winning experience. They're a juggernaut. And I just think Colorado is too good to lose this series. So for me, I thought about saying Colorado in 5, to be honest with you, but you do have to respect Vegas just because they themselves have a lot of experience, but I just think Colorado's too good.
Oh boy. And by the way, Anthony, as you were talking about experience, I just thought about that. I'm reading a book right now on music in Seattle. They had a chapter on Jimi Hendrix. And what did he ask you? Are you experienced? And this time I do have to say there's tons of experience in the Vegas side too. Now, Wedgwood, Hart, and Blackwood. This is the furthest any of them have ever gotten. It's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. Ooh, and I'm setting all this up, guys, because I keep looking at the Vegas team. Mitch Marner's got the monkey off his back from the playoffs. He's woke up. Jack Eichel is playing excellent two-way hockey. Mark Stone might be back. There's another guy, as Filk said before. William Karlsson's back. Vegas is firing on all cylinders, and then you get the off-ice stuff. Tortorella is really kind of pointing them in this direction of just, I think he toughened them up. I think he made them mentally tough again. And when somebody asked the question about Mitch Marner, Torts got right in the guy's face. And one thing I say, Torts has his players' backs. Even Kevin Hayes, when he was no longer a Philadelphia Flyer, he's attacking the reporter that I showed that video on X recently. And just saying, who are you to say that? Kevin Hayes is a good hockey player. And I remember him saying the same about Brad Richards after a healthy scratch in New York. I think this might be the best coaching job Tortorella has done since the Stanley Cup. And we're waiting for the expiration date to hit on them. I don't think it's right now. I got Vegas in 6. And I am looking at that Colorado lineup and saying there aren't many holes. But if they get to their goalies, all bets are off. So that's the key part about that one. Hold on. All right. Well, we'll get I guess we'll grab him in if you want.
Okay.
Sorry on that, Filk.
No, you're good. You're good.
Let's get to the next one that's right over here, which is the Eastern Conference Finals. And you have the Montreal Canadiens, where everybody made the joke. You heard the joke for the beginning of the season that a plane was landing and the pilot said, "Welcome to Montreal, the future home of the 2026 Stanley Cup champions." That was before the season. Montreal won the season series 3-0 over Carolina, and they outscored them by a ton. I'll put up their leading scorers in a second. But Anthony, give me the overview of this series.
I mean, this is the favorite in the East that has rolled through both rounds, haven't lost a game. Team that's been to the conference final. It seems like pretty much every year lately, just can't get over that hump. Versus one of the best up and coming teams in the East, in the Montreal Canadiens. So I think it's going to be a fun series again. I think you're going to be the key really there is Carolina and the way they play, just overwhelming you, throwing pucks on net from every angle, giving you no time and space against a team that in Montreal that shows they're comfortable when playing under chaos, like the announced team was saying yesterday in Buffalo. They were getting ground into dust, but they hung in there and they're comfortable when they're really being kind of outplayed like that. They're patient, they stick to their game, and then they capitalize when they get a chance. So it's going to be interesting. But for me, I know we're not at prediction time yet, but I'm pretty confident how this series is going to go.
All right. So in that case, Phil, give me your key matchup for this series.
Depth versus depth. We have seen that Carolina line run around and score rampantly against two inferior teams. Is that line going to be able to continue that against a much better Montreal team? I think that they're going to be, bless you, but they're going to be tested against a much better team, a much better defensive team, a much better goaltender than they faced in the previous two series. I think Carolina's had the easiest walk I've seen to an Eastern Conference final maybe since the 94 Rangers. Sorry, Islander fans and Capital fans, but the Rangers were just that much better in 94. But I don't think I've seen an easier road. So, I'm going to go with depth versus depth here because I think Montreal's depth, when we talk about guys like Alex Newhook and what they're doing, can Alex Newhook and those kind of guys also help neutralize that line in Carolina's bottom six? Or can someone like Jordan Martinook come out of nowhere and had the series that he had a few years ago against the Islanders and the Devils? Can he have a run like that? That's the opposite end of it. Can something like that happen? I think depth versus depth is going to be really, really important here.
All right, Anthony, what do you have for the key matchup in this series?
I kind of want to go on depth versus depth, like Filk said, because I think it has a lot of merit. I think what the problem that Montreal is going to run into is that Carolina is very, like I said, they're very good defensively. They're very good at stifling you. And yes, Alex Newhook is going right now, and the Canadians have their top line of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky. But after that, I think the challenge for Montreal is why it's going to be so hard for them is can their depth, can they step up? Because, you look, Josh Anderson only has 3 goals in 14 games. Alexander Texier, another guy that's kind of relied on that third line for more, depth scoring, if you will, 3 goals in 14 games. Zachary Bolduc, 3 goals in 14 games. So when Suzuki and Caulfield, Slavkovsky aren't going, which, by the way, Caulfield only has 4 goals in 14 games. So if that line continues to not really produce, especially at 5-on-5, where is Montreal going to get that scoring from to beat Carolina? Because outside of Alex Newhook, it hasn't really been coming. I mean, even Demidov, 2 goals in 14 games. So yeah, I just think if that top line of Montreal does not get going and it stays the status quo where the only other guy scoring consistently is Alex Newhook, it's going to be difficult for the Canadians to win this series.
Yeah, there was. I just wanted to recheck that Demidov thing. Didn't he have a hat trick? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I'm sorry, I had the wrong guy. That's why I was like, wait a minute, that's wrong. He had Demidov did have a goal in game 5 though, so I had the wrong guy on that one. Anyway, guys, I got the Aho line versus the Danault line because I think the Suzuki line is probably going to get the Stankoven line and the Aho line then has to produce against the Philip Deneau line. This is where you guys talk about the depth versus depth. It's also the matchups. And do you have the right guy to go up against the right situation? Obviously, when you have you got to factor in how Wayne Hudson and Jacob Slavin are going to be in this series, whether or not Dobson is going to be a huge factor. This is there's so many moving parts when you start seeing what the matchups are going to come down to. But if they're going to actually try to put the Suzuki line up against the Stankoven line, because that's the one that's been producing more, then it means the Aho line has to produce against a very good defensive line in Deneau, who he did give up the game-tying goal last night. So let's see how they're going to be. Anthony, we're going to go right over to you. What is your X factor for this series?
For Carolina, I'm going to go Andrei Svechnikov because he has 1 goal in 8 games, 3 points total, against some inferior or opponents. No disrespect to Carolina's played so far, but that's just simply not good enough. And like I said, Montreal is going to be the toughest team they've played, and he needs to be better. He 100% needs to be better. The thing is, if he's not, I do think the Hurricanes are still that good of a team where they could probably beat Montreal if he continues that production. But in a perfect world, they're going to need to get more out of him. For Montreal, believe it or not, I'm gonna go with Cole Caulfield. 51 goals during the regular season. Guy's a goal scoring machine. They don't call him Goal Caulfield for no reason. But they showed a graphic last night at 5-on-5 in this series against Buffalo. He just simply was not good enough. He needs to score more. And if they want any chance to beat the Hurricanes, like I said, that kind of stifle you and look to suffocate you and give you nothing, they're going to need him to be that guy that scored 51 goals during the regular season.
Well, I mean, a 50 goal scorer. Surely he made his Olympic team. Bilk, what do you have for the X Factor?
Ooh. This one was a real tough one for me. With Carolina, I was torn on Svechnikov and Aho. I'm gonna go Aho because he has 3 goals, but 2 of them are empty netters. He needs to be much better because I have a real hard time believing that guys like Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven are going to continue this type of production against a much better Montreal team. I just think that Carolina is going to really have to counteract Montreal with their physicality. But Aho needs to be better. He needs to be the guy. Like, there is no reason why Sebastian Aho should not be one of their top 3 scorers. And he's nowhere close to it right now. So for Montreal, X Factor is going to have to be Jakub Dobeš. Dobeš is going to have to outduel Anderson. Anderson, from what we've seen over the years in the playoffs, has really had a tough time against goaltenders that are better than him, basically. And Anderson has been a guy that has been prone to letting up soft goals in big moments, and Jakub Dobeš doesn't seem to be doing that a whole lot, maybe sans game 6 against Buffalo. And Carolina is a good team, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I don't think they have the offensive firepower that Buffalo had, though. I think they're going to play a more structured and tougher game than what Buffalo gave Montreal. But I think Dobeš is really going to be the difference as to whether or not Montreal can win this series. I think that he's going to be the guy that's probably going to have to stand on his head at certain points, and then Montreal will be able to counteract. I mean, I think it's going to be the other way around. I think Carolina is going to come out. They're going to come out fast, and they're really going to try to test him and see if they can get to him. And Carolina, they love to go low and high and pepper with shots. And if Dobesh can withstand that early onslaught, and those onslaughts at times, because Carolina comes in waves, and then Montreal can counterpunch, I think Montreal will win this series.
I feel like you kind of took my answer right there, because my two X factors for
Did Mark freeze?
No, yeah, Mark froze, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
No,
I got. Yeah, we're both back. I got Carolina's forecheck versus Montreal specialty teams. Montreal specialty teams have been really good in this playoffs, especially their power play, but their penalty kill. Oh, I had the stat right here, guys. I'm sorry. Right now, their power play, like them in Vegas, they both are 25% on the power play. So is Colorado, by the way. Vegas was 25.7 of the teams that are remaining. But Montreal, if they can keep Carolina off the board, Carolina's got a 95% penalty kill rate. And that has been incredible. Montreal has only been 74.1, and they haven't exactly played. And they played Buffalo. They struggled mightily on the power play. They let in some power play goals. And then, Tampa, who they're like Mr. Power Play. But this is going to be Montreal if their power play can kind of, let's say, is sort of like your forecheck is going to be working the body, and then your power play is the uppercut. And that's where I think Montreal, if they get Slavkovsky going, you get Caulfield going, I don't think Carolina really could do much for them. Carolina, if they can pin Montreal on their own end, and we've seen Montreal at times. Hell, last night they were nearly outshot 2-1, and the chances were vastly in favor of the Sabres. But Montreal is able to get outplayed, play their game, and still come out with wins. Just ask Tampa Bay, 9 shots to win a Game 7, incredible. And you look, if Carolina can keep the pressure on Montreal, this could be a very short series, as Anthony is alluding to. Now, Phil Kuzia under.
Sorry, I'm gotta leave in 2 minutes to get Ellen, so I'm gonna be gone for the next 20 minutes. So I just want to step in and quickly give this answer and my prediction, so you're not sitting there waiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so under the radar, Max for Carolina, I'm actually gonna go Jackson Blake. He actually has 11 points in 8 games, so not quite under the radar, but this is in the sense that this guy's a second-year player in the league, 53 points after a really good rookie year last year, and now in the playoffs he's producing. So if Jackson Blake keeps playing like that, combined with everything else Carolina has, I think that might be too much for Montreal. They're getting that kind of production from Jackson Blake, which, by the way, son of Jason Blake, another Islander, was very small. I did not see Jackson Blake being this good of a player when he was coming out of North Dakota, to be honest with you. So we'll see how his career goes forward, but I have a soft spot for him because of his dad. And the answer for Montreal, which Phil talked about him earlier, but Caden Gooley. I think that, you hear about, Lane Hudson, yes, he's small, he's flashy, he's great offensively. Phil's shaking his head because I probably stole it. He puts up the points. He graded, basically phenomenal at transitioning the puck. And then you have, Noah Dobson. He comes heralded too as a big puck mover again. But Caden Gooley is the guy that I think is truly going to get the tough assignments for Montreal and play against the Sebastian Ahos of the world. If he can play at the level he's playing at, that will help Montreal. And as far as my prediction goes, Montreal, again, great team, young. Like Phil said, in terms of Buffalo, they're going to be around for a while, but it's not their time yet. I'm going to say Carolina wins this series in 5 games. I just think that Mark's with the face. I just think Carolina is that is that good. They said it last night on the telecast, like after Carolina won, they're like everyone's kind of been thinking the same thing. Are we going to see Colorado versus Carolina? I just think they're in a collision course for that. I think Carolina. Listen, I don't have love lost for this team. They've ousted the Islanders a couple of years. They have their number. They're annoying to play against. Dealey's a huge Carolina Hurricane fan, but I'm sorry. I mean, your team, I dislike them. They're just one of those teams. They ran the Metro forever now. They're a really good team, and I think that this is the year where they finally get over the hump and they get the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right, Anthony. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, and Filk. So then, in that case, I was just pulling on Anthony for a minute.
Yeah, I was trying to do it too. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna go backwards again, everybody, just to make sure we can get this in here. Under the radar player. Who do you got?
For Carolina, I got Jordan Staal. I just think that he's going to be called upon to do a lot of the heavy lifting defensively in this series. Not a guy that's going to get a ton of love, but he just is a phenomenal defensive player. Another big thing is, like I said before, is going to be Montreal's answer to Carolina's physicality. We saw when Buffalo started playing them a little more physical, Tampa Bay's physicality was able to rattle them a little bit. Now, I just don't know how they're going to be able to handle that type of physicality with that type of speed. So Jordan Staal, the job that he's going to have to do on someone like Nick Suzuki or someone like that is going to be it's going to be one of the big matchups that you have to look out for in this series. I don't think there's enough talk about Jordan Staal and the job that he's going to have to do. And for Montreal, obviously, I hinted at it earlier on, and yeah, Anthony took it from me, but it's Caden Gooley. Caden Gooley, he's going to be the guy that's going to handle a lot of tough minutes on defense. Everybody talks about Hudson. I don't think Carolina has a defender that can really move the puck the way that Hudson does and affect the way the game that Hudson does. But Montreal has a big shutdown defender in Gould. And that's the type of guy that you're going to see go against guys like Aho and Jarvis and Svechnikov. And you really want to see that matchup and how that matchup goes. So Gooley is going to be the under radar guy for me.
I'm going with a different Jordan because we haven't mentioned him at all in this preview. And you have to talk about him when you talk Carolina Hurricanes. That's Jordan Martinook. Jordan Martinook is he's just that. He's like Mr. X in Resident Evil 2, just stalking you, just ready to terrorize you. And when you think you got him, suddenly he just punches you in the mouth. And then you got to escape, go grab an herb or something like that, whatever metaphor you want to use. Gather your thoughts and then get right the hell out of there because that's just Jordan Martinook, and that's been his game ever since he was in Arizona. For the Canadians, I went with Josh Anderson because if it's going to come down to size and the forecheck, Josh Anderson's got to wake up for them. And if he does, that gives them more depth. I think he's on the line right now with on Deneau and Texier. And Texier is another guy that's got to wake up a little bit because after all, if he actually buried that breakaway, we wouldn't be talking about overtime last night. They would have been up 3-0. But it's one of those times I have to go with Anderson because he's got to help wear down that Carolina defense. And he's probably going to see. I wonder who Keandre Miller is going to be up against. That's the one I kind of wonder a little bit too, because you've seen him look great against some guys, and you see some guys just absolutely punk him in his days in New York. Plenty of playoff experience, three conference finals, but right, the defensive players never get the spotlight. And as Dwayne's saying right here, if anybody needs to find their way to Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, you don't even need to tell me. I know how you know, and I've been down in your area, and I've had the barbecue and all the other good stuff down there. So trust me, I know. I know.
As Puck Pete Mackin says, best tailgate in all of the NHL. And that's going to be one of those I have to sample at some point in my life.
What I wouldn't do for a first watch up here too. First watch is so good. Oh.
Yeah. Well, prediction time. We already had Anthony say Carolina in 5. Filk, I see to you.
I know I'm going to be the contrarian here, but I'm going to go Montreal in 7. I don't know if Carolina can shut him down. I don't know. I mean, and that's the thing. Carolina's system works against teams that have trouble moving the puck out of their zone. Montreal just doesn't have Hudson that can move the puck like that. You got to remember, Matheson is also a phenomenal skater and is one of the better players in the league at moving the puck out of his own zone. Look at his metrics. So I think it's going to be tougher for Carolina to establish their system against a team that has comparable speed and talent. You know, I'm not saying that they won't be able to generate offense and do what they do, best. But again, it's got to be on Carolina's pace in order for them to win it. Liz, I don't think Hudson's the greatest defensively. I don't. I agree with that last part. I think he is vulnerable in his own zone. But the problem here is that he's actually good at retrieving pucks. Like, he's really, really good at that. So him and Matheson both are very good at making that first pass or skating the puck out of the zone. And if you're quick and effective in your decision-making in your own zone and getting the puck out, that's how you transition against Carolina and catch them with their pants down. Montreal can do that. I also think Montreal has the advantage in net. So this is going to be as close of a series as it is for me. I'm only saying Montreal in 7 by a hair. This is going to be a super, super close series. I think people are underestimating that. Anybody that says Carolina at 5, 4, whatever, hey, I understand where you're coming from with that prediction. But I think Montreal has the ability to match up against this team and use their strengths to counter Carolina's. That's why I believe this series can go 7 and Montreal can win.
Phil, this is an incredibly tough team. I'm going to get to one stat that sort of is swaying my opinion in a minute. But you look at Carolina throughout their history, since they went to the Stanley Cup Finals last, they have won one conference finals game. And that was last year, game 4, to avoid a sweep. Oh, this one, wow. This one is just tougher to pick. Everything points to Carolina going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Everything. They're dominant. They keep the puck out of their own net. But you got to question, did they get the right teams to lead them up there? They, as far as the playoffs went, they kind of got Von Kaiser and Tristan Honda.
Von Kaiser!
I mean, they didn't exactly get the worst.
Who's next? Don Flamenco? Are we dropping Punch-Out references?
Well, yeah, I'm using Punch-Out references for it. I mean, if you really want to use it.
Who is Glass Joe?
All right, let me correct that. I said Piston Honda. Let me change it. Von Kaiser would be Ottawa because they didn't show up, but they were sort of a little bit tough. But not really that tough.
Ottawa's Glass
And then
Joe.
we'll say the Flyers were King Hippo. Because once you're able to punch him in the mouth, you just work the body until the Flyers are able to pick up their pants. I mean, that's sort of what they are. Montreal is not going to be that. Montreal is going to be Bald Bull.
Oh.
And they're going to come at you. You might
say Super Macho Man or Soda Popinski at least.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that's waiting for them in the next round in case if they get there. But
no, the next round is Mike Tyson, bro.
It could be Tyson. Could be Tyson.
Last show is definitely LA. Yeah. Oh, absolutely LA.
It's definitely LA.
LA.
And that's one thing you have to look at this series. Now, is Carolina ready? Is Freddie Anderson going to turn back into a pumpkin? Is the Aho line going to step up? Is everything you criticize about this team for years just
questions.
going to go away, or is it going to resurface? I like Jackson Blake. I love Logan Stankoven. Taylor Hall seems to be the first overall pick again. How the hell that happened, I have no idea. This is going to be, to say the least, interesting. But I got a quote, friend of the show, Mr. Statboy Steven, who put up this tweet earlier this week. This will be the 9th instance in the last, I think he said 20 years, that a team coming off a 7-game series is facing a team coming off a sweep. The team that played the 7-game series is 7-1. Bill, you want to guess the only loss?
With the only loss in Game 7.
No, the only loss of a team playing this game in 7-game series versus a team coming off a sweep.
I'm
the
not
team
sure.
that played 7 games lost once.
I'm not sure which loss is that.
That would be the 2022 New York Rangers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's where you look over and you go, well, and we can use that metaphor still too right now, because the Rangers are basically Jeff Gorton's team. Maybe we'll talk about him in a little bit, but there's a lot that needs to kind of be looked at. Are the Canadians ready for prime time? Are any of the ghosts going to creep back into Carolina? Or is that magic carpet ride just going to continue for either team? Phil, I'm going Montreal in 6, and I really had to think about it.
Wow, 6?
6. Because I think if Montreal gets that power play going, I don't know if there's an answer to Uri Slafkovsky, and that's even with the great Jacob Slavin there.
Slafkovsky's got to have it. He's got to be Olympics Uri Slafkovsky here.
And you know what? It looked like he was going to be when the playoffs started, and they kind of went back to, yeah. So,
you're right.
That's what's going to be a huge factor. I want to know how Slavin and Miller are going to be deployed in this series. And when adversity comes, let's say Montreal wins game 1. Then Carolina absolutely needs to take the next 2. They can't afford to go down in the series by game 3 or have it keep going. I mean, that's obvious. Nobody wants to do that. But obviously, what I'm trying to say is the ghosts are coming back. The doubts start creeping in. And then it's, oh, no, what are we doing? And there's only so many times you can walk up and down your bench and say, play the game. You know what? Here's the thing. Montreal's not supposed to be here.
Rest versus rust?
Yeah. And the other thing that helps Montreal, youngest team in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. Oh, that team. And you know what? I don't think they're hurt.
No.
I don't think they're banged up. I don't think Carolina is either. Let me be clear in saying that. I don't think Carolina is banged up. I don't.
Right.
I think they're healthy. I think they're a fully functioning machine right now. But Montreal is young, and they have the energy. I disagree that they look worn out. I just think Buffalo was very desperate in 2 games. And ask any team that has played in any series, Johnny, you're in the chat. I see you in there.
Yeah.
How hard is it to deliver that knockout blow to a team that you have on the ropes?
And take, for instance, I turned to my wife Saturday night and I talked to her about this game. I just said, Montreal was up 3 games to 1. Sorry, 3 games to 1. Well, obviously 3 games to 2, but they're up 3 to 1 in game 6. They have arguably the best home ice in the NHL. And Buffalo was able to score 7 consecutive goals on them. That's how good Buffalo was. I'm not knocking Montreal on that. I'm commending Buffalo.
I just think Buffalo has that type of firepower where they look up and down their line. That's why I said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you have that type of firepower, you have Thompson, you have you have Zucker, you have Dahlin, you have Quinn, I mean, you have Norris. All this scoring depth that Buffalo had is just going overlooked somehow. I don't understand it. I really don't.
And let's be honest about this one. Buffalo is a fully functioning, sorry, not Buffalo. Carolina is a fully functioning Death Star. It is absolutely right there. The question is whether or not they got that. Is Freddie Anderson going to be the exhaust port? Because all it takes is one goal, and guys that are puffing up their chest like this slouch, and you think, damn it, we need to score another goal. And you always hear the expression in baseball, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. Well, that's what you need to do. You need to pick them up. And sometimes Carolina's been able to do that. I think there's only been like 1 week goal against Freddie in this postseason period. So it's, yeah, game 7 looked like the end of Rocky, where two teams were absolutely gassed trying to get to each other. And then look what happened. He went up and it beat Clubber Lang. Well, it's after he got the snot kicked out of him and he lost Nick.
What have the two other goalies shown you in the playoffs? Bussy hasn't even been playing, and Kochekov hasn't been good in the playoffs.
Yeah. Kochekov, it's just you need to have Freddie there, and I don't know if they could turn to Bussy. And maybe Bussy being off for so long, maybe that recharges his batteries. So if they do turn to Bussy, he is good. So I wouldn't go with I wouldn't go with Kochekov. And again, I'm just saying this is the ghost. You know, I'm not a believer in Carolina. However, they look damn good. This has to be their year they go to the finals. This has to be, but I'm still going Montreal.
I don't know when, because Florida's going to be back next year.
Florida's going to be back next year. The Islanders are coming on, so watch out for that. All right. Guys, we're going to hide this banner right here, and let's do some playoff pick'ems.
I've got a gut feeling.
You want me to do two things?
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now shoot!
And yeah, here, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Pick'em segment, where we're going to give out a couple choices, and we're even going to continue to kind of keep going along that thinking we just had a minute ago. Because Phil, 2 teams have 8 wins in the playoffs, and there's 1 loss between the 2 of them. As you saw in the intro, the Barton Lisa casually just skating away. But which team is more feared, Carolina or Colorado?
I'm going to go Colorado. I just think that center depth is overwhelming. I think the top end talent is the best in the league. I mean, when you boast a team that has at the top of your depth chart Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Marty Necas, Gabriel Landeskog, Devon Taves, like, how are you competing with that talent? And then behind them at center, you have Brock Nelson and Nazem Kadri. Like, you were able to bring in Nazem Kadri to be your number 3 center, and Brock Nelson's a Selke finalist as your number 2. I don't know how you compete with that down the middle. So for me, it's Colorado. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm saying I'm sorry too, because again, Colorado doesn't have the questions that Carolina does. Colorado has got that reputation. They got the Stanley Cup. Well, there's my wedding ring to show it off of that. They go, there's that Stanley Cup ring right there. We already got it, buddy. This is our first time back in the conference finals since we went to the Stanley Cup finals. And let's see whether or not Colorado can keep it going. Oof, this is Carolina. If they lose game 1, like I said, the doubts are going to creep back in. We will see more on that. The one of the things just to mention, we haven't talked about him at all, is former Carolina Hurricane Jack Drury, who's on the 4th line. He's a guy that's a pest and a nuisance in the playoffs. He always has been. So if he adds that extra factor and you can't even get a reprieve from the 4th line, you wonder about whether or not now they are fully functioning as well.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the NHL. They hockey loves its upsets. Hockey just the hockey gods, they just will sit back and go, "No, you know what? You're not going to be getting there." And Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I tell you right now, the other two teams definitely have to be looking at these teams and be like, hey, Colorado is definitely not a team that I would want to have to face right now. So,
and I've been able to use that one in a while. There's a transform feature, and then now I can put that on. Make sure you guys are liked and subscribed. But this is one of those things. Carolina, if Carolina comes out and wins game 1, I might change my answer on this one. But right now it's Colorado. Because if Carolina, all right, let me go use another metaphor for Carolina. Carolina is like my driver. When I was just on a golf trip last week, played the die course actually in South Carolina, started out piping every single drive. It's going great. Parred, I think I parred the first 3 holes or bogeyed. Like parred or bogeyed like the first 6. But once that drive starts kind of fading and starts going wider and off target, Carolina needs that confidence. Win game 1, Carolina. Let's go with some of those. What's the better depth piece? And it's exclusively, no, sorry, there is one from each conference. But anyway, Phil, better depth piece. Alex Newhook or Brett Howden?
You know what? The numbers are fairly close if you adjust for games. I'm going to have to go with Brett Howden, though. You talk about pesky, you talk about Jack Drury being a nuisance. Brett Howden is a nuisance. And I know Ranger fans don't want to hear it, and I personally don't want to hear it either, but you just got to call a spade at this point. Brett Howden is just he's turned himself into a nice little player, and he's having a hell of a run. So I'm going to go with Howden. He's a little bigger, plays a little bit more of a physical game, but Alex Newhook is – and I'll answer this real quick since good question. Yes, we are still going to continue to do weekly shows. Last week was just kind of rough because none of us were really available. So sorry about that, but we will be doing a regular show tomorrow too. So, but stay tuned with us after Pick'ems because we're going to have a special guest coming on. So I have a nice little surprise for us here.
I got to go Brett Howden. And the reason why I got to go Brett Howden is because he completely changed around the playoffs for Vegas by scoring that OT winner on a shorthanded OT winner versus Utah. You want to talk about a team that really needed to keep the positive vibes going, Utah, because who knows what they could have done if they could have been in this position that Vegas is in right now. LA, I think I just wanted to say LA. But Vegas really found their spark right after that goal and then just took it to Utah. They really took it to Anaheim, even though Anaheim was able to take 2 games from them. You look at that deciding game, that game 6, they really put the screws to Anaheim as soon as they could. And Jakub Dobiš has having a very good playoff and was able to shut him out in game 2. So I said Jakub Dobiš. I meant Lucas Dostal. All right, I'm just going to kill this answer and just say it's Brett Howden. Once again, he's been going up and down the lineup too. He's been a depth piece. He's played on the second line at times. It's Brett Howden. Phil, who's been more disappointing, Cale Makar or Sebastian Aho?
Part of me wants to – this is tough. Part of me wants to say Makar because Cale Makar has been a Conn Smythe winner. He's had one of the best performances we've ever seen from a defenseman in the playoffs, probably the best since Brian Leach in '94, easily. But I think I have to go Sebastian Aho. 3 goals and 4 points so far, and 2 of those goals are empty netters. Like, we expect a lot more from Sebastian Aho. Makar, I mean, yeah, Aho has, I think, 3 goals. It's not 4. Pretty sure it's 3 goals.
3 goals, 1 assist, 4
3
points.
3 goals and 1 assist. He has 4 points. Yeah. So I gotta go with Aho. I think that I think if anything that Makar is definitely not playing anywhere close to what he could be playing, and I think if he was, I don't think Colorado would have lost a game to Minnesota. I don't think that would have happened at all. But yeah, I gotta go Aho. I just think I think one even strength goal is just not enough for Aho. He's been good defensively, the other side of the puck. I just think Makar, you know what? Dwayne may be right. Makar may be hurt. He may be hurt, and that's maybe the reason for it. And if that's the case, it's definitely not Makar then at that point if he's playing hurt. So it's got to be Aho for me. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you brought up the Brian Leetch metaphor. Let me go back to him in a second. But it's Aho. It's Aho by a long shot because now in one way he's not disappointing because his line taking on the top matchup for the other team is what has freed up Logan Stankoven to have the playoffs that he's having right now, and he's been unbelievable. But you look at what's going on with Makar. You use the Brian Leetch comparison, and it's so true because you look at the playoff runs the Rangers had in the 90s. What was their best playoff run? 1994. Brian Leetch won the Conn Smythe, outscored Doug Gilmour. Then the next series, the Nordiques couldn't contain Brian Leetch. The Flyers could. They took him out. That's what ended up winning that series for them. Then same thing in 97. The Devils couldn't contain Leetch. The Panthers couldn't contain Leetch. Flyers could. That's what happened. They're keying on Cale Makar. They're right now, everybody's had a game plan that's working pretty well for him. I don't want to say maybe it's an injury. I think they're game planning well for him because you saw there's been times where he just looks good. He doesn't look that legendary status, that mythical status of Cale Makar. Like in comparison, just for him, his own career, he doesn't look like the Conn Smythe winner. He looks a little closer to that guy that was trailing Jack Hughes for the gold medal winning goal. So hopefully that's something that could change any moment. And maybe if he gets going, that's Anthony's right. That's a short series. I do still like Vegas in that series. But you know who's got a lot to prove is Carter Hart, because he's got to make sure that he can prove that he could carry the load for Vegas. But I ask you this, Phil, more to prove, Carter Hart or Freddie Anderson?
Wow. I'm going to have to go with I got to go with Freddie Anderson. I know Carter Hart has had a lot of time off from hockey. I'm not going to get into that part of it.
No, we're not.
But Freddie Anderson is going to have to prove that he won't let up the weak goals that cost them a series, and he's going to have to make the big saves that win you a series here. Do I think Montreal is the best team that could have gotten here? No. I think Tampa Bay would have been the ultimate dragon for Carolina to have to slay. But I do think Montreal is a far better team than the two teams they placed. Like they played previously. It's not even close. So Anderson, for me, is going to also have to prove that he can outdo a goalie that's playing at a very high level. He hasn't been able to do that in the playoffs in the past. So he's going to have his own demons that he's going to have to fight in this series. And can he answer the calls? Really the question. Carter Hart, he comes in from how much time off from hockey. If he loses this series, who really cares? You know? Mm-hmm. Like, he comes in and it's just, all right, you know what? He got them to a conference final, after being away from the sport for how many years? So, how short is the leash on Anderson? That's
a
really
great question. That's a great
So,
question.
I'm definitely going Freddie Anderson here because I think there's a lot more proof. I'll be right back, by the way.
There's a full calendar month between what any of the backup goalies have done in Carolina. So I got to go right now. I got to go with Freddie Anderson. It's the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And you got to hope that he's ready for the task. There's so many different metaphors you could throw out there. Has Montreal leveled up enough to take on the Carolina team? You could always say that. Is Freddie Anderson that, to use again the punch out method, do you get the pattern that he has to go on and go, okay, well, Freddie Anderson, all you got to do is just wait for, like I said, bald bull before, but you wait for the third hop and then you do body blow, you knock him down immediately. Freddie Anderson, you look at what he did in that last series against the Rangers in 24, and it looked like Carolina was going to force game 7. Chris Kreider's able to jam one home. Everybody wants to say that was the Freddie goal. Using this game as an example, what happened? Rangers tie it on the power play. Kreider ends up winning it. And the last 2 goals, I want to be clear, they're not Freddie Anderson's fault, even though everybody said the first one of that hat trick he could have controlled. But that's just typical Freddie. And a lot of people have said that about him. He's got to prove he can win the big one. I'm trying to think of the other guys just in history to think about him like that. He's almost like one of those ultimate but athletes. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty steady. Yeah, but he ends up making the worst mistake at the worst time. Whether you want to compare him to Mark Sanchez, whether you want to compare him to Armando Benitez. I'm trying to think of players that have just failed in big spots throughout my life that you're just like, ugh. And Tony Romo is another guy that comes to mind. But I think it's Freddie. That's the one that has to prove himself. Carter Hart, he's got to prove himself in a lot of other different ways, but we won't get into that either. Bill, more likely to go off, Arturi Lehkonen or Ivan Demidov?
I'm going to go Arturi Lehkonen here. Demidov is a sleeping giant. They need him to be the guy that looked like someone who could have competed for the Calder. They need him to be that prospect that he was before he came into the league, where he looked like he was the absolute best thing since sliced bread. I do think that Lehkonen has some big goals in him, though. I do believe that Colorado has a habit of getting performances like that out of players. I think Lehkonen is the guy that I'm looking for to have a big series.
It's got to be Lehkonen. Demidov's a sleeping giant. This is one matchup I do not like for Demidov. I don't even like really anything. Carolina, I think, is just going to silence him. That's why they got to get the power play going, and that's your chance for Demidov to go off. I don't think 5-on-5 he's going to be that much. Arturi Lehkonen, though, man, he has a history of being a pest. He's got a history of just scoring big goals, and he's one reason why Montreal went to their last Stanley Cup final and Colorado won their last Stanley Cup final. So that's why I'm going to go Arturi Lehkonen. And to quote Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. All right. All right, guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Pick'ems. Let's take a quick commercial
I'm going to have
break.
a guest come in, so just if you want to highlight maybe one question before.
Well, yeah, no, I'll do this real quick before he comes in.
Yeah.
Ticket prices are all over the place. I used to waste hours comparing sites until I discovered SeatGeek. Here's the game changer. They actually rate every ticket so you can see which seats give you the best bang for your buck. I've used it for everything from Rangers games to concerts like Billy Joel and comedy shows like Nate Bargatze. The app shows you the view from your seat before you buy, which is honestly genius. No more guessing if you're stuck behind a pole. Whether it's sports, music, or comedy, SeatGeek covers thousands of events. Stop overpaying for mediocre seats. SeatGeek, let there be live.
Yeah, I was trying to take that banner off.
Yeah, I realized it was on afterwards. I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
getting covered.
Yeah.
So we got Montreal versus, you've got Colorado, right, Filk?
I've got Colorado. Yeah, I've got Colorado and
Montreal, Vegas.
Montreal.
So that's mine. Look, any of these four teams could win. It's just a matter of, can it finally be Carolina's time? By the way, Johnny, let's go Knicks tonight. You're saying that right there? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they can get to the finals and maybe even win a championship. San Antonio, that game last night was ridiculous. San Antonio and the Thunder. One of the coolest things I've ever seen on Twitter was somebody, I found an account, pulled up the very first Kenny Omega Kazuchika Okada match of their trilogy in New Japan and used that as a metaphor basically for it. But we have got a special guest. He's actually a very good friend of mine. Going to bring in Mr. Logan Rinkowski of the Sioux Falls Stampede in the USHL. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. Hopefully when you get back home, we'll be able to play some puck.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give a little background on Logan here. Logan is a friend of mine for a long time from hockey here. He's playing for the Sioux Falls Stampede in the USHL. Had a huge, huge breakout year for them with 43 goals and 63 assists in 60 games. He's one of, I think, 4 Long Island / New York projects on the Stampede right now. I know your leading scorer was also a Staten Island kid, right?
Yeah, he Thomas Zoko. I played with him my U16 year at the Gulls. He's been a really good friend of mine. He's from Staten Island, so we got a lot of East Coast blood on this team, so it's great.
Oh, that's, you know what? Do we mind if we get Johnny Lazarus involved in this?
Yeah, bring him in. Bring him in.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. This is going to be fun because these two have a nice little connection too. Yeah. Let me get this to Johnny actually right now. I'm going to DM him. Hold on. Oh, this is fun, man. I like this, Logan. Man, we've been big supporters of you for such a long time. To see your growth going through, and by the way, Logan has actually. I want your thoughts on the conference finals, honestly, because you have a connection to somebody in these conference finals that you want to tell us about.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we're in the biggest part of our year, so I haven't been able to watch too much of it or give too much info on it. But back in my youth hockey days, I played for Marty St. Louis for I think it was 7 years. So definitely cheering for Montreal here, and hopefully they can get it done.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've seen some pictures, so this is pretty cool. You played for him at mid Fairfield, right?
Yeah. Yep. Played for him for, like I said, 7 years. And, it's crazy to see he went from coaching youth hockey to being a successful coach in the NHL. So it's awesome to see. And to kind of have that relationship is awesome.
Have you seen any difference between his coaching style when he had you to now him as a Montreal Canadiens head coach?
I mean, you see the little videos. Like I know there was that video of him working with Caulfield on power play stuff like that. He's as guys would say, he's a player's coach. Like you love to be around him, and he just has such a huge brain for the game. And obviously his experience in the NHL and how successful he was. So kind of just being able to be with him for 7 years and kind of experience that. You experienced a lot with him when I was playing for him. He announced his retirement, and all that kind of stuff. We got to do some pretty cool stuff with him. Go down to Tampa, get to tour the locker room, meet guys like Kucherov, Hedman, Stamkos, guys like that. It just really cool experiences that, growing up, like you always dream of meeting, any NHL player, and to get to play for a Hall of Famer for 7 years. It was awesome.
So, Logan, your journey is pretty unique. You went from playing in Cedar Falls. I know you weren't getting a lot of playing time there. And now you come into Sioux Falls, or Cedar Rapids, sorry, my apologies. But you go from Cedar Rapids to Sioux Falls. Tell me the differences between the two organizations there in the locker rooms, and just kind of give us a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Cedar Rapids, I was super young. I was still maturing, and I think I was kind of just wrapped up in the moment of, hey, I'm 16, 17 years old playing junior hockey with a bunch of 20-year-olds. It was my draft year, so I was on top of the world, right? Like going into the year, and had some injury stuff going on and stuff like that, but it was Cedar Rapids was a great place. The town and the city was great. The hockey experience, I didn't get to fully experience it just because of my injuries and stuff like that, but kind of moving forward after that, like even before Sioux Falls, I was in New Jersey in the North American League for a while, and that was a great experience playing for the coach there, Craig Doremus. He was unbelievable. Really long. I've known him for a really long time, so he did great things for me, and I still have an unbelievable relationship with him. And then obviously last year, halfway through the year, I got the call out to Sioux Falls, and came out. It was pretty much a week-long tryout last year that I came out for. And after I actually went back to Jersey for a couple of games, and then went home for Christmas break, kind of just waiting around to see what Sioux Falls wanted to do with me. Ended up, they called me back out for the rest of the year. And I had a mediocre year last year. We had a really solid team, couple draft picks, and, really, really good team. And unfortunately lost in the first round of playoffs. So kind of coming into this year, used that, getting bounced in the first round to kind of fuel the fire for this year. And from an individual standpoint, being my last year of junior hockey, just making sure I had fun with it, whatever happened. And I've told this story so many times, and not many people know this, but going into our main camp over the summer for Sioux Falls this past year, I really didn't have a great chance of making this team, to be honest. And because there's an overage rule, and you can only keep 4 or 5, maybe it is now. But there's limited spots, so there was no guarantee. So again, it was just going back to making sure I'm having fun and stuff like that. And it helps to have the team that we have this year. And I had a successful year, as well as obviously our team is continuing on our successful year, and hopefully we can close our season out on Friday.
Yeah, Friday, 6 p.m. You guys are up 2-0 in the series, looking to close this out. What really makes this team special? Because obviously there's something going on here for you guys to be as good as you are. You had 2 goals in the game that sent you to the finals. I mean, yeah. Tell me a little more about your teammates and what's going on here, the magic, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to so many people about this group. It's bittersweet, right? We know at most we have 3 games right left. Hopefully we can finish this off on Friday. But you got to cherish. I've been cherishing every moment that I have with these guys. This is one of the most special groups I've been a part of. I mean, every guy on this team loves each other. It's a family. Guys, people say all the time, "Oh yeah, our team's a family," but I don't think there's any meaning behind it a lot of times. But I think whenever anyone on our team says it, there's meaning. And I think with the results that we've had this year, you can tell that there's meaning behind the word family with our group. And I was talking about it with guys this morning at the rink. There's been years where, you love going to the rink, right? But at the same time, it's oh, I got to hang out with this guy. I got to be with this guy. That's not the case here. Every guy in our locker room, you show up to the rink and you want to hug the guy. You love him so much. And just wanting to be around every guy on the team, I think helps us. And it's why, we got to the point we're at right now.
Yeah, because I can tell you, there's the teams that I've been on that have won championships over the last. It's been 30 years since the last. That's how scary that is for me. It's been 30 years since I was in high school, and that we still have some of those championships. We still look at each other and go, "Hey, remember that save that Richie made?" And for you, Richie Vitzum, that's a good one. I mean, to tell you how long it's been, because you mentioned the goals. When I was playing, I think the goals were still based out of Iceland. Are there any rinks that stick out in your head that you played in that just for better or for worse that make you go, oh my goodness, I played there?
Yeah. You're talking like recent or just my whole career?
Whole career.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. It's funny, like, I love coming home in the summer and kind of getting back to the rinks in Long Island, and even the roller rink. That's where I met John. Like that rink I've been going to that roller rink since I'm 5 years old. It's a bike ride from my house. But as far as ice goes, I mean, I grew up playing at the rinks. I actually went to preschool at the rinks. I learned to skate when I was 2 years old in preschool at the rinks. So that rink, holds a special place in my heart. Getting to go back there and see my coaches that I've worked with since I'm 2-3 years old, stuff like that. And then obviously, the other rinks like Iceworks and Northwell. Northwell's a newer one, but just kind of getting to go home and see those places every summer is awesome. But there's a handful of other rinks that are not Long Island. Like New England Sports Center in Massachusetts. Like that's one I spent every weekend at when I was younger. But yeah, I really think the Long Island rinks, kind of just getting to go back there, and it puts into perspective all the work that has to get put in to get to the place that I'm at. So I think that's really cool for me.
All right.
It's funny because we look back obviously at the growth of hockey in the U.S. and especially on Long Island. I mean, obviously, you and I texted about your one of your really good friends, Ethan Wittenbach, who was a Calgary draft pick you alluded to before. But in your time in the USHL, like, how do you look at the growth of not only the league itself, but like the game at that level? Because the USHL over the last, I would say 20 years, I mean, Joe Pavelski was drafted out of the Waterloo Blackhawks, like a 7th round pick in 2003. Like, how would you say that the USHL and like the game at that level has kind of grown since you've been there?
Yeah, tremendously. I think, I came in the league at 17. Actually, I played a game during my U16 year. I got called up for a game, and I'm 16 years old. And my first game, I'm going out on the ice, and Adam Fantilli, Jackson Blake, Sam Lipkin, who's in the American League, Jake Livanovich, who just signed a deal with Pittsburgh, and Jaden Perron, who's a big name in Michigan. That's their first power play, and I'm off the plane from a U16 game, right? So I think that was a big eye opener for me, and just pretty cool to take in that moment and see those kind of players, obviously where they're at now. But I also think, as time's gone on, kind of just being able to play against some of the guys that I've played against. My first full year in Cedar Rapids, I played against Celebrini. That was pretty cool, and he's obviously a pretty decent player now. But no, it's just away from the individual part of it. I just think the way that the league has done stuff as far as helping guys develop and put them to the next level has been great. And I think it's only going to get better with a lot of the stuff that they're doing and starting to do. It's really cool to see. Unfortunately, I won't be able to experience any of it because this is my last year. But it'll be cool to see the steps that they take in the coming years. But no, it's been really cool because I've been in the league or a part of junior hockey for 4 years now, and to just kind of see the steps they've taken to help guys develop. It's awesome.
Logan, I'm just going to borrow this question right here from James, but how would you describe your play style?
My play style, I like to consider myself a goal scorer. I've kind of always considered myself that. One of my best attributes is my shot. And I just think,
I know that firsthand.
being able to utilize that as much as possible is something that I try and do. And I think, going back to, being home in the summer, I think that's my shot's one of the main things I focus on. try and shoot pucks every day in my backyard. Whether it's if I have time to shoot 100, I'll shoot 100. If I have a couple hours, I'll shoot 1,000 pucks a day. So I just think little things like that, and kind of knowing. I think that's a big thing now. Like guys kind of don't understand their play style. At this level, guys absolutely do. But I think I wish I kind of learned it a little quicker. But at the same time, you also have to have other attributes to your game. Like I said, I would consider myself a goal scorer, but I would also consider myself extremely responsible in the defensive zone. I want to be a guy who, if we need to score a goal in the last minute of a game, I want to be out there. But if we are up a goal in the last minute of a game, I also want to be out there. So kind of having both aspects to that. So to put it into simpler terms, I'd say I'm a 200-foot player that can score.
It's funny you talked about the summer hockey, and there's a pretty well-known league. I'm pretty sure you play in that league in the summer. In that specific league, because I'm not going to name it offhand unless you want to name it. That's your thing. But I've seen some of the talent that's in that league, but playing against some of those guys, how is that? How is that playing in that league with some of those guys?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's great. It's great that we have that. Obviously you get your skill skates during the day, and those are awesome. They help a ton. But I think kind of staying as much as you can in game shape throughout the summer can be tough sometimes. So having the competition that we have in these league games over the summer is great. Playing against guys like Shane Pinto, Matt Coronado, Sonny Milano, just to name a few. It's great. And I think, it's really cool because where we work out, pretty much every guy that works out in that gym plays in that league. So there's some chirps flying around in the gym in the morning, and then we'll play a team that night. And but no, it's cool. There's a really good dynamic that we have a great group. So it's great, and that league's awesome for kind of staying in game shape as much as possible. And yeah.
Logan, what is the next step for you after juniors is over?
So next year I'll be going to University of Vermont. So I committed there this past summer at the end of August. I did my tour there over the summer and fell in love with it. So I'm super excited and to start there. Unfortunately, I gotta go back to school, but no, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to go back to school. You sit in junior hockey, and I've done this is my third gap year. So I come home from the rink and don't have much to do. So I'm pretty excited to get back into that routine where I'm constantly busy, and I'm excited.
It's funny you mentioned University of Vermont because your old coach actually played there too, with a good buddy of his who also played in the NHL for a little bit, Eric Perrin. But there's other connections that you have here. The guy that's in the chat right now, whose comment I have highlighted, you're pretty familiar with him as well, I believe.
Who's that? Is it Laz?
Yeah, that's Laz.
That's Lazzy.
What's they thought he was coming in? What happened?
I think something happened with him where he couldn't come in, but tell us about your connection to Lazzy here.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. I met him a couple years ago at a charity event. And we kind of hit it off. He was here last week and we were kind of talking about it. It's funny how the hockey world works. Like, you meet a person could be a 15-second conversation, and, you feel like you could text that person anytime, whatever it might be. So I met Johnny, kind of in passing. We were sitting at the same table, not too much conversation, but, after that, like, got his number, stayed in contact, stuff like that. And, jumped out on the ice a couple times, and he's awesome. I've done a couple interviews with him, and he's great. I think he'll be in Muskegon this weekend, so it'll be good to see him again. But no, he's a great guy. He's unbelievable at what he does. He loves what he does. And yeah, he's awesome.
Phil, I'll see to you. What's you got another question?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny you mentioned the whole community thing before, because obviously we met through roller hockey. I met a bunch of guys down in Florida that I thought were absolutely great. This whole hockey community on Long Island is such a small world. Between you and then another guy that you also have connections to, James Higgins, who you were friends with, obviously got drafted by the Bruins and even played his first hockey in the NHL this year. Tell me a little bit more about like how tight knit this community is and how everybody is like really kind of like rooting for each other, and just give us a little more on that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, like you mentioned, Higgins, and funny enough, James' older brother Mikey just transferred to Vermont. Actually,
Really?
so-
Okay.
yeah, so I'll be going to school with him next year. They live 5 houses down from me, so I've known them for forever, and you know, it's funny how things work out and stuff like that. Like one of my best buddies, Ryan Fine, who plays at Harvard right now. I've played with him since I'm 5 years old. And you know, there was always me and him played for PAL, and James and Mikey and Tanner Adams played for the Royals, and there was always that rivalry between with me and Ryan, and then the other three guys who played on the Royals, and fast forward 10 years where although we're not on the same team, we're all rooting for each other, and you know, it's good to get back in the summer and hang out with those guys and stuff like that. And even furthermore, like, you know, even younger guys, like you mentioned before, Ethan Wittenbach, he's 2 years younger than me, but me, Ethan, and Ryan, we run a camp in the summer, and Ethan's friends from his '07 birth year, we all hang out together. So there's just connections everywhere, and it makes it a great time when we get back in the summers, and makes training a lot easier and stuff like that. But no, it's awesome. It's funny how things go from you hate another kid because you're playing against them to 10 years where you mature and you realize like, hey, like that's a good friend to have. So it's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. There were lots of guys. I mean, back in my day in high school, I wanted to take their heads off. And then I run into them like years later. They're playing on A division midnight ice hockey with Benoit Hogue. My first reaction is, I'm like, oh, the guy's name was Kenny. I'm like, Kenny, you and Goody are on this team? You guys are gonna win. He goes, you just see the roster. I'm like, it's Benoit Hogue? Oh, all right.
Yeah, we got carved up by Benoit Hogue too. That was
Yeah.
that was an experience. I mean, you obviously about the Ferraros, being a Long Island guy, and then Hogue and Vladimir Nikiforov was on that team. I'm pretty sure you know about Vladdy. Unfortunately, his passing. But like anybody who's dealt with Alexei on the island, played PL Selects or Royals or anything like that out of the rinks, just knows the how tremendous of a coach he is and how tremendous of a player Vladdy was. But it just this whole community is just amazing, just bringing everybody together, and I love seeing it. A lot of us, are in a group text where we're always talking all the time. Logan's name is always brought up by a lot of us, so we're always looking forward to that. But tell me what your thoughts and feelings are going into this third game. Like, where is your head at? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you thinking? Like, how important is it to like get out and just get that first goal? Because we always know that last win in that series is always the hardest to get.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously for all playoffs, we've been down in series. First round, we were down 2-1, and had to win 2 in a row to win the series, and same thing in round 2 against Fargo. So I think we're in a little bit of a different position now, where we're up 2-0. Our backs aren't against the wall, so it kind of gives you that little bit more sense of confidence. But at the same time, the understanding that, hey, we still have to win one more game. And the team we're playing, Muskegon, they won the whole thing last year, so they've been here before. They know what it takes to win. So having that understanding. But no, I think our team, our confidence is at an all-time high. We play Friday. We're leaving tonight. We're leaving here at 7:30 on the bus, so it'll be a 12-hour bus ride. But like, Muskegon flew here, right? And they flew here last weekend, and they go down 2-0 in the series, right? And our team on the road all year, I think our record this year on the road was 24-6-1. I think that's the record on that. But I mean, we were unbelievable on the road. I think at one point we were on it was right before the last game of the year. We were 12 games in a row on the road that we won. So we're a really good road team. And again, I think that with our confidence with where we're at in the series right now is puts us in a good spot. And I think the team that we have, we're ready for whatever gets thrown at us. Stuff has been thrown at us all year. But I think now more than ever, we're ready to get this thing done.
Awesome.
And you mentioned that these are going to be your last games in juniors. Do you kind of look at some of these experiences like not just the last game, but like the last bus trip with the boys? You look at it with like a little bit of like graduation goggles, if you will.
Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet. Obviously, the spot that we're in to go win the whole league is awesome. But at the same time, you sit back and you're like, this is the last bus ride I'm going to have with these guys. And it's sad, right? Like this is, like I said before, an unbelievable group that if I could, I would stay with for the rest of my career. It's something special. So like you said, to kind of sit back and to look at it, it's definitely tough because you don't want to leave these guys. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely sad, and it's thoughts that I've had. Once it's all done, like, I saw a video the other day where a guy was talking about, he left junior hockey and he was all happy to be home for the summer, and he was home for 2 weeks and he's sitting in his room like dreading the fact that he doesn't get to go to the rink to see his teammates. And so like it's little things like that I just think you take for granted. Once it's all said and done, you look back and you're like, I wish I was still there, right? And for me, it's something that this is a group I don't want to leave. I don't have any thought of like, I can't wait to get home for summer. It's I want to be here. I want to be with these guys for forever. But unfortunately, that can't happen.
No, I don't blame you one bit. I mean, you know me for a while. You know how old I am. I'm getting up there in age. Lazzy says he loves you, by the way. So yeah, so definitely had to put that up there. But I mean, getting up there in age, and I see myself slowing down. And when you or like the guys come back to the rink, and I'm just like, how the hell do I continue to skate with these guys in the next upcoming years? And I totally get where you're coming from, where you're saying, graduation. I know I'm preaching to the choir right now. Mark's about to tell me to shut the hell up, and I don't blame him.
Because you got the guy that's even older than you. So.
I know. I'm preaching to the choir, but but the point is that I totally get where you're coming from when you say that. And like, even like, because I almost moved down to Florida very recently. And like the fact that I was going to not be able to play hockey with you guys, just made me that, like, honestly, when you said that kind of just like hit me like right there. I was just like,
yeah,
I can really relate to that. So, but I mean, again, you're absolutely right. It's definitely not something you want to take for granted. And, I can't blame you one bit, but I also I don't want to keep you for too long because I know you gotta get packing and going and everything like that. But I definitely want to thank you for doing this. I know this is something we've talked about for a little bit. But this was absolutely perfect timing for you, in the finals and everything like that, in the Clark Cup finals. So I just wanted to, wish you the best of luck. I hope you go out there and absolutely kick their asses Friday night. And hopefully you come back and we can celebrate and I can buy you around somewhere.
Well, I'm not 21 yet.
I know that.
We gotta wait till August.
Don't worry, you won't have a drink.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome, and I appreciate it.
Logan, thank you so much again. We appreciate it. Johnny in the chats, propping you up too, and like I said, we're hoping for nothing but the best for you, man. Go kick some ass.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
All right, take it easy. And I'll just pull them out right there. And that was cool. Thanks for Logan for joining us.
That's awesome. I like I said, he was the guy that I had been talking to you about for a little bit. That I told you was friends with Johnny. He played under Marty. Ethan Wittenbach, who absolutely tore up. Probably should have won the Hobie Baker if you ask me. I might be biased, but he should have won the Hobie Baker. That's a guy that, he played with. He's played with the Hagens brothers, Ryan Fine. Like, you've seen all the names that have been dropped. And, Long Island obviously is a hockey hotbed. Yeah. I'm hoping that he goes to Vermont and absolutely breaks out, and someone signs him.
We got a couple of a good Long Islanders that are coming up. Like you were with me on the bus, getting to know Dominic Sorrentino, who's right now he's got several different opportunities that's going on. I think I got to talk to Mike. I'll probably talk to him later. But last I heard, he was being coached by Matt Cook, and
yeah, there you go.
And that's there are guys that are competing for his services, and trust me, he's one tough kid. Yeah, so you're gonna be hearing his name pretty soon. And you think about the players that have come through Long Island, even the ones that didn't make it or didn't have the opportunities. I mean, Jeremy Bracco, one of the ones that comes to mind.
Bracco had like a close sniff. I mean, Anthony and I have told you the story about our friend Greg Holt. I mean, I met Greg through Anthony, and Greg Holt was Quinnipiac's D1 captain for like 2 years. And I'm pretty sure he told you the story about like his first game being against like North Dakota. And who was on that team? Jonathan Taves, TJ Oshie, Ryan Duncan, who I think won the Hobie Baker one year at like a 30-goal season for North Dakota. I mean, Brian Lee, I think, was on that team too. Ottawa prospect, played in the NHL for a bit, was a first rounder from Ottawa, I think, in 2005. But you got all these guys, and Logan, talking about coming out there playing his first games against guys that have been drafted. It's an eye opener, dude. It is a total eye opener when you get out. Even for us playing against someone like Hogue, even Benoit Hogue, like carving us up, it's like, yeah, now I understand why these guys made it and why, like what's the difference between them and the guys who can't get to those levels,
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of players I knew that didn't make it either because of injuries or maybe lack of opportunities. One guy that always comes to mind, my friends, one of the best players I ever saw was Timmy Kirakostas. He was Coach K for Alex Jeffries, who joined us 2 years ago, and who we're hoping eventually makes the NHL for the New York Islanders because he's in the Sound Tiger system, or now it's the Islander system. I don't even know what they're going to be called over in Hamilton. But then you have, there's a litany of guys you could always think about. And I mean, there's, I'm running out of the superlatives to say, just because you're thinking about these teammates that I've had throughout the years. And that's why I always love that Rangers Flyers 24/7 and when it concluded, when it says, never get caught telling a hockey player it's just a game, or all the things that matter so much more. And I love that poem. I love to go with that. But let's get into some of these questions. Johnny Red's asking right here, what do you guys think the Rangers should take with the number 5 pick?
By the way, Johnny, thank you for that super chat, by the way. I just wanted to thank you for that. I saw that before. So didn't want to forget about you there. We appreciate that. So
all right. I actually did not see that. I don't get to look at the comments that often.
No, it was I had it in there. I didn't want to bring it up just because but I just wanted to give Johnny some thanks. It was an earlier on comment. Actually, I think I might have found it. Yeah. So
all right, there you go.
And thankfully, you're in good health too. So I mean,
oh no, yeah. I hope your back's doing good.
Yeah. So
but Phil, let's answer the question: who should the Rangers draft at number 5? And there's those rumors of them trying to move up to number 2.
Well, a lot of the focus has kind of been recently on Carson Karls. If Carson Karls is the best player available, you absolutely take him. He would be the stud left shot defenseman that this team desperately needs, and he fits the puck mover comment that Sullivan and Drury both made about having a lack of puck movers on that blue line. So that could be your number 1 left side defenseman in a few years. Vladislav Gavrikov's going to be around for a while, but if you can pair, let's just say they decide to keep Adam Fox and he stays a Ranger for the rest of his career. You can pair Adam Fox with a guy like Carson Karls, or you can have Carson Karls on another pair, and then you have two great puck movers on two different pairings. So, I mean, that could be your left side right there. That could be your best guy in your left side in terms of puck mover. That could be a guy that could possibly run a power play one day. So, but yeah, I love Karls there. I know there's a lot of talk going around Vigo Bjork, but does he identify? Does he identify, or can he be a number one center? Number one centers are the hardest thing to find in all hockey. Like, don't twist it. It's number one defenseman, or number one centers, then number one defenseman, and everything else afterwards is something you can fill out. But if you have a number one center and a number one defenseman, you have two of the most important pieces of potential championship roster one day. I just don't know. Listen, I don't care about Bjork's size. I don't. What I care about is it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight.
Size of the fight and the dog.
And Vigo Bjork seems to have all of the fight in the world. So I don't give a shit about his size. I saw Theo. We both watched Theo Fleury go up against guys that were almost twice his size and not back down from them, while being a guy that could give you 40 goals and 90-plus points a season. So,
Phil, for me, the hard part on that is that you get guys like him, they're usually drafted lower. And in this case, I think you do have to draft the size of the guy and everything, all the physical attributes. You better be damn well sure, especially at the number 5 pick. I think a myriad of things can happen. I don't like the idea of trading up to go get the number 2 pick and getting an Ivan Stedberg. The only reason why I don't like it, because I think the latest rumor I heard is that what if the Rangers use Braden Schneider to trade up 3 picks? I'm like, no, why don't you trade Braden Schneider and get like a low first round pick and then worry about it from there? Because I think the Rangers are in a beneficial situation. I think they can actually wait and just see who's left, because they can see who's left of Keaton Verhoff, Carson Karls, Kalen Malhotra, or possibly Chase Reed. I'm starting to hear he's going higher. It's really a great question of who's going to drop. Look, Matvei Michkov dropped all the way to the Flyers. I think that was 8 to the Flyers or 7, but
I think 8.
Let's use this show as an example. Who's one guy that we talk about a lot in the show? Cale Makar. Cale Makar went 4th. He went 4th in the draft that year. Hischier went 1st. Nolan Patrick went 2nd. Heiskanen went 3rd. Makar went 4th. You think Dallas wouldn't like to flip that around? I mean, it's going to be an interesting thing how this shapes up. I do think the Rangers being at 5 gives them less of a chance to screw this up. Maybe
because they're going to be taking the best of whatever's left of that litter. Yeah, I do agree to it.
And whoever they take out of the best of that litter, I think is going to be good. But look, if you're going to ask me my opinion and you want a player for me to say, and I'm partial to this, I always liked Manny Malhotra as a New York Ranger. I felt he didn't get the chance. Get it right with his son.
You can't make a pick just based on that, though.
No, but I mean, you like the way he plays. I like the way he plays anyway, Phil.
I think Caleb plays a different way. Oh, and thank you, Les. We appreciate that, man. We've been talking about getting Renko on with us for like a bit behind the scenes, and I wish you could have been on with us for that, because that would have been pretty epic. But
and Laz, we'll have you on sooner than later.
Yeah, I at one point I think when Renko gets back, if they end up closing this thing out and they win, I definitely want to get him back on, and we definitely can do that. So, but yeah, I think he plays a different game from Manny. I think he's a little more dynamic in terms of his skating. I think Manny was a good skater. Yeah, he was not a great skater. I think Caleb's a great skater. I think Caleb has some tremendous speed.
That's a guy I would love to see the Rangers get and invest in. That's what I would love to do.
What's the ceiling, though? Is he a second-line center? Because I don't think you can afford to take a second line center over a potential top pairing defenseman here.
That is true. That is true. Because look, the Rangers are in a weird situation because they're in a build for the future, win now situation. They have to win now, but they're also not good enough to win now. I mean, I don't see it next year, and I'm kind of having trouble seeing it a long ways from now. Hey Phil, let's answer this one. And
We love Johnny too. We absolutely love Johnny. Johnny's been so good to us. Thank you for supporting us, Johnny.
I've said this over and over again. There was an expression from Kevin Spacey a while ago. Of all the people I'm going to name is Kevin Spacey. Sorry to kind of mention this in with you, but he did say this when Kevin Spacey was doing like those master classes, and he said it's incumbent for all of us to send the elevator back down. Johnny has been a great success so far, and only succeeding more and more every single day. You see Johnny on several different shows everywhere. He's always willing to come on, do the smaller show. I love Johnny and what he does. He's just a great hockey guy. And trust me, when eventually I see you at the draft, not this year, it's going to be a different year. I can't wait to buy you a beer.
Yeah, I definitely want to chat it up with him at that point. I want to be able to see him in person.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's go to James' question right here, which is I thought I highlighted it. There it goes.
Yeah,
did you guys see Dolan making the Knicks Rangers into separate traded companies? And also, what do you think about any truth to Toronto wanting Trocheck? Now, let's start with the first one, Phil. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen something about that previously. That actually came up like a few months back.
Yeah, I want to say like 6 months ago.
Yeah, that came up a while ago. I'm guessing something came back up again. Now they're getting closer to it. I mean, I'm not sure how much that impacts the hockey level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more like a behind the scenes business thing, which I don't know how much effect that really has on hockey operations itself and everything below it. So I don't want to go too much into that. But yeah, I don't. I'm actually going to highlight this one from Johnny that he just.
We're going to get into that one in a second.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second because I actually think that's a great thing to go over. Thank you. But Toronto wanting Trocheck, I don't see it. Why do they need a center on the other side of 30 when they're about to get the number 1 overall pick? Gavin McKenna is probably going to come in. And funny enough, that's what Johnny's talking about.
Yeah,
I think it's McKenna. I don't think you can pass on him at this point. Even though I think he projects as a wing in the NHL, not a center. I think he's too much of a talent to pass up. And if you're Toronto, why are you bringing in a 2-year-old center when you don't really have the window to contend? Like, I get they need other pieces. They do. They absolutely do. But why are you doing it for Trocheck? If I'm Toronto, why would I not look at Robert Thomas instead?
What's Toronto's window? Is their window open?
That's a good question.
Because if their window's open, why are you going after Robert Thomas anyway? Or and I know what you're going to tell me. He's young enough. He's young enough to get in there. But this is where teams lie to themselves. They try to say, "Oh, we're just a player or two away. We're just a Matthew Schaefer away from turning this organization around." Because after all, at the one calendar year ago, well, let's say and add 2 weeks. So 54 weeks ago, we had a completely different opinion about the New York Islanders. They win the draft lottery. They move on from Lou. Darsh comes in, changes around some things. Suddenly now they're
right away.
Right. There's so much more optimism in that organization. Toronto, first things first, what's going on with Austin Matthews? Because you can't say, well, we're just going to get Gavin McKenna and they're going to turn it around. They can go get Trocheck and still get out. Nope. Nope. If Austin Matthews wants out, which is very likely, because let's be honest.
I don't know how likely it is after a first overall pick.
I don't know how likely it is either, but I'll tell you something. Nobody's stepping up for him after Radko Gudas shredded his leg.
Yeah, I don't like the lack of a response there.
And I don't care Max Domi fighting him, and I don't care about Radko Gudas going, I'll take the punches. It's okay. I guess I deserve this. No. First off, he should have the book thrown at him from George Paros, but God help him if he ever step up and do his job. Department of Player Safety, because you can't pronounce safety. I have no idea what it means. So, and then there's the way the media has been treating him, especially after he won the gold medal. So congratulations, Austin. You had the most amount of success you've ever had in your life. Now you can go back to hell and the way they've been treating you. It's such a joke. Now, could it all change in just one day? It could. Because the city of Toronto still loves him. They know he's still a superstar. And Gavin McKenna could be just a cheaper Mitch Marner, if you want to look at it that way. You draft the first overall, and there he is. Getting Matthews the puck, because that's been the problem. Matthews couldn't get the puck. So, but I'm sorry. I don't look at a team with Anthony Stolars and what is it, Joseph Wall, that and go, this is a Stanley Cup winning team. This is a contending team. Panthers are going to be right back again. The Panthers are ready to go back again. No, Toronto doesn't have a window open. Start shredding it now, reducing everything, and you rebuild. You're not going to do that with Vinny Trocheck. So that's why I say there's no truth to the Vinny Trocheck. However, Minnesota makes more sense for Vinny Trocheck because Bill Guerin was the USA GM, and they could add a Vinny Trocheck, get a little bit more center depth out there. Minnesota needs more center depth. If they want to compete against Colorado, that's just what you have to do. And look, Vinny Trocheck is that player you add to help you get to the next level. He's not the guy you have early on. There's a reason why the Rangers went further with Vinny Trocheck and were tougher to play against than they had Ryan Strome.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I do. I'm actually on board with Josh here. I mean, I don't know if I would actually trade it, but I would look into it. If the offer is too good to refuse, then why not move it at that point? But it also depends on their mindset. Does Matthews want out? If he wants out, then you want to go scorched earth. If he doesn't want out, I'm not saying Trocheck is the guy, but Robert Thomas would make a lot of sense if he doesn't want out. That means because your window is going to be what Austin Matthews can do. Do they need a rebuild? Yes.
Yes.
Can a rebuild actually happen if Matthews wants to stay? No. That would need to be a retool then.
And just to address this, do they like having an American as captain? Well, the players that have thrived in Toronto have been the foreign players, because when you've had the Canadians in Toronto, they haven't been thriving. And I'm just saying specifically, kind of going back to Matt Sundin. Matt Sundin, who was traded for Wendell Clark, a move that was not popular in Toronto. Matt Sundin goes on to be one of the top, would you say top 7 Maple Leafs without even blinking of all time?
What, Matt Sundin?
Yeah.
He's in a top, I would say, 5.
Okay, so there you go. So top 5.
Who would you have ahead of him?
I think people would still love to put Gilmore ahead of him, even though there was a shorter window.
I don't think you can do that anymore. Gilmore wasn't there long enough. And yeah, they went to a conference finals with Gilmore, and he won a Selke, but you cannot tell me that Gilmore.
I also got to include guys that are pre-expansion. I mean, Andy Bathgate was there as well, top of my head. Now, by the way, answering on this one.
His best days weren't in Toronto, though.
No, his best days were with the Rangers.
He won a heart as a Ranger.
I know. I'm glad to go over all the great players Toronto's ever had for a second. But post-expansion, I would probably say Matt Sundin is top 5. Easy. So
Matthews and Sundin are probably 1 and 2 in the expansion era.
yeah.
You have to put Salming behind those guys.
But you look at some of the guys that have been successful in Toronto: Van Riemsdyk, Kessel, Matthews. I mean,
Sittler.
There's obviously Daryl Sittler. I mean, but I was naming some of the guys that were the foreign players that were doing well in there. The weight of the sea hindered.
Kessel and Van Riemsdyk are not foreigners.
They're Americans in Toronto.
Oh, you're just talking non-Canadians. Okay,
yeah, non-Canadians in Toronto.
My fault.
Like, because look at what Toronto kind of did with Dion Phaneuf. I mean, shoot him up and spit him out, and that's been happening.
Yeah, but Wendell Clark was a good captain. When they enjoyed a very prosperous period under Wendell Clark.
So,
especially in the early 90s.
I'm not that I'm poo-pooing. I'm just saying I think it's sort of like one of those things you kept on hearing how Brady Tkachuk wants out, and then he scores 2 goals against Carolina in the playoff push, and they're chanting his name off the ice. So I wouldn't exactly say that he's disliked yet.
I think every team needs that Darcy Tucker, Sean Avery type.
Every team needs one of those guys.
Every team needs one of those. Every team needs one of those guys that just comes out as a little ball of hate, energy guy that can give you some offense, chip in here and there. I mean, you know what's funny? I sometimes get my little nostalgic binges where I want to watch the dark 80s Rangers just because, like, the wins that they had were, like, fun wins because those teams were so bad defensively, but on any given night, they could somehow give you, like, 6 goals out of nowhere, and you're just like, what the hell? But Matthew Barnaby had, like, some absolute brilliant performances offensively, like, here and there, especially in, like 02 and, like, 03, and he's playing with guys that, like Peter Nedved and Eric Lindros and Bobby Holik, and you're just like, I didn't know Matthew Barnaby could do this. And he pulls out moves where you're just like, holy shit. Like, Matthew Barnaby really just did that? But yeah, like, every team needs a guy like a Tucker, a Barnaby, an Avery, someone like that that's going to stir shit, throw a hit, fight, score a goal, and really get the team going on the bench in the locker room.
Yeah, and a guy that's really going to fire everybody up.
I know Anthony would make that comment.
Yeah. Hell, I mean, that when I was in juniors, that was my role. I had to go and lay somebody out and such. And matter of fact, I actually got an assist because the defenseman for Massachusetts went back to go pick up the puck. I was going to level him. He braced for the hit. I stole the puck, threw it in front, and Ronnie Sandgren scored. But the so it's, again, it's there's those times where you got those guys that are going to get their hands dirty because you don't want to get your hands dirty. But, and yeah, the Barry Beck years games, those were all, some of those were good. Although whenever you think of Barry Beck, you always think of one thing: they shoot the puck, Barry, shoot the puck. So
yeah,
or Nick Pettiu. Yeah. And Nick Pettiu, who was always a fan favorite, a Staten Island native, if I recall correctly.
Yes, yeah, and it's funny. Thomas Zoko, the guy that Logan plays with in Sioux Falls, he's a Staten Island kid, and we've seen some Staten Island prodigies come through and play at the NHL level, and even in a level just below that. I mean, like, look at, like, Zach Aston Reese is a Staten Island product. Kevin LeBlanc, Staten Island product. Arthur Kaliyev, former King and Ranger, Staten Island product. And, you know, that's another one.
Wonder how many games they played over at Aviator in Brooklyn.
Yeah, geez, Aviator, it's probably had to be their home. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, Brian in our chats is a friend of mine, and he's a guy that's from Staten Island. So I mean, it's funny enough he's got to be seeing all these guys and being like, hey, you know, maybe I went to school with another one of those guys or something, you know.
I'm going to go with that. Will Cooley is actually a better hockey player than Darcy Tucker. Is he a better banger, a better grinder, if you will? But I think there's more potential to Cooley's game. I could see Cooley potentially being a 30-goal scorer.
I think Darcy Tucker is probably a little better of an all-around player. Like, he had some pretty big years offensively. Like, he had a 59-point season and a 61-point season. That 61 points was – he missed some games that year. I do think Cooley is the better goal scorer, and I do agree with you. I think if Cooley can round out his game and be that power play chance or that power play front net presence, net front presence. My boards are all over the freaking place right now. If he can be that presence in front of the net and really like work on his like hand-eye in front and cleaning up the garbage goals, I think Cooley could be closer to an Adam Graves type with a little more size. Like, I think he can play that type of game. I think there's some room for improvement with his shooting. That's always something you can improve. Technique goes a long way. We were just talking about technique. Want to know how you develop technique? Ask Logan. Shooting, whether it's 100 pucks, 1,000 pucks, that, it's all practicing technique. I tell you, out of all the shooters that I know on a personal basis, Logan has one of the greatest shots I've seen out of anybody. I've seen Greg Holt shoot. Greg Holt's probably my number one. I've never seen someone personally shoot a puck as hard as Greg. Logan is probably number 2 or number 3 for me. And I tell you right now, I've seen that puck fly by my face. And I tell you, it's like your life is flipping before your eyes. But to get back to the point, Cooley can be that type of goal scorer, I think. I really do think. Like, you see, like, the goals that Graves scored in, like, the finals. Like, the shot from the slot against Vancouver in Game 7. Like, Cooley can do that. He can do that. He just has to improve his shooting a little bit. So,
yeah. We got this one right here. Again, D is saying right here, let's all be honest, we loved Domi when he was on the Rangers. You know what I love more than Domi? I loved Chris King.
I was just about to say Chris King. Holy shit. Same timeline, same years.
Same timeline, same team. Although Domi was the guy they threw in every now and again. And every Ranger fan's got a special place in their hearts for Domi. But both those guys were traded for Eddie Olczyk, who ended up being one of the Black Aces for the Stanley Cup.
Joey Kocur,
Joey Kocur, I thought, had a better career as a New York Ranger. All of them had a better career as a Ranger than Chris Nyland did. But
Knuckles.
Yeah. I mean, but again, those guys are great locker room guys too.
I honestly, I'm gonna start here. I honestly think it's McDavid, and the reason I'll say this: you just fired a guy that he's very good friends with. That was his coach back in junior. He was part of the reason he was brought here, and I get they had to fire him; they had to move on. But, and I'm not saying that's like his completely. That's his way of putting his foot out the door. But how are you convincing McDavid that a coaching change and not a changing net is the way that they're going to win a cup here? And not only that, but if he stays and they don't win this year, I can see McDavid being like, hey, you know what? I gave you your chance. I'm going to do the right thing right now. Trade me now. So this way you can get something for me so I don't leave in free agency. I could see Edmonton being proactive at that point, saying, you know what? If he has no plans of staying, why not get this done this offseason and get more for it while he has more term left on his deal?
I just outlined everything for Austin Matthews. And I do think Austin Matthews potentially could move. But also I could see the potential for a reconciliation. I can see the potential for going, they got Gavin McKenna. Now that's the guy that's going to get me the puck. Maybe that's going to rejuvenate things. And also, Austin Matthews is coming up on a contract soon. He's going to come up on a contract very soon. So my answer is McDavid. You know what? I can't see it with that team. That team just honestly, that team is a shell of what it was last offseason where you're like, maybe they can win the Stanley Cup. That team ain't winning the Stanley Cup. I don't know if that team can win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It should just be that. Can you win a Stanley Cup? That's it. I do think McDavid can go, and he gave a 2-year deal, so that way Edmonton has leverage. So that's why I would say that. And by the way, just to say for editing purposes, which player has a better chance of moving this offseason, Matthews or McDavid?
I don't know. I you know what? They have the same amount of term left on their deals. They both become a free agents at same time. Like, how do you sell Matthews on a quick retool who's 28 he'll be 29 in September? How do you sell him on that?
I think that's a tough sell too, but I think there's hope in that retool. I just see regression in Edmonton. I don't see any progression. What are you going to sell me on Matt Savoy? That's it?
I like Savoy. That was you know what?
I like it too, but what else are you selling me in Edmonton? You got nothing in the net. You got shooter tutors. Good for you. Now what?
I like Isaac Howard. I think he's gonna be a good player. I get he didn't play in a whole lot of games, and it was kind of disappointing. I picked him as one of the guys that I thought would be up for the Calder. But I do think that they have some young pieces there. I wish the free agent market was a little more open, because there's not a lot that they can do to improve in free agency. Bowman's gonna have to get aggressive in the trade market and make a deal there, because I don't see how you can improve the team that much in free agency. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to have a better year. Zach Hyman had 31 goals in only 58 games, which is really good. But he's not a true sniper by any means. And then, I mean, after that, your scoring depth is kind of...
Well, Johnny was asking this one. Do you think the Rangers trade Trocheck and Schneider before sure this summer? Schneider's gone. There is no way.
I think both of them are gone.
I do think both of them are gone. I think there's an outside chance Trocheck stays, because for some reason they're going to hang on to Trocheck, just like they did at the trade deadline, because he's going to ask for too much, not facilitate a deal, and then Trocheck is just another year older. And not that that's so much bad, but the Rangers aren't going anywhere with Vinny Trocheck.
I don't think so. I disagree with that. He made the right move to hold on to him at the deadline. The offers just weren't good enough. I think if anything, you're going to look at Trocheck and say, hey, this time we are going to deal you. Like, it's just a matter of when, the offer comes in that they accept. And I don't think that Schneider, I don't think they want to pay him the type of money he might.
There is no way they're paying Schneider. They didn't want to pay Miller. You can't tell me Schneider's better than Miller.
No, I agree with that. I agree. And Schneider, the saving grace for him was supposed to be defense. He is not good enough defensively to even come close to what Keandre Miller got from Carolina. And if that's what it's going to take, it's going to be like $5 million plus to have Schneider signed. Goodbye. I don't pay him any more than $3 million.
Yeah.
You want to stay for $3 million on a bridge deal? Okay, cool. All right, we'll give you a chance to prove yourself. But if he's looking for $5 million or more on a long-term deal, even $4 million, I wouldn't give him Will Borgen money.
And Josh, I hope this is not the case. I don't know on Schneider. Drury loves him. You can't give him Will Borgen money. And I know that everything's going up, but no. I know that there was a comment earlier about would the Rangers trade Igor for Draisaitl. Edmonton wouldn't do that. So I wouldn't.
Edmonton would never trade. I just all right. So the hardest things to find in order are 1, franchise centers, 2, franchise defensemen, and everything else after that is whatever.
Right.
Whatever. Because you goalies are a crapshoot. Okay, so I did a little research. I put this together. So in the salary cap era, in 20 drafts, 17 goalies have been taken in the first round. Riku Helenius, Leland Irving, Semyon Varlamov, Chet Pickard, Tom McCollum, Jack Campbell, Mark Vicentin, Andrei Vasilevsky, Malcolm Subban, Ilya Samsonov, Jake Ottinger, Spencer Knight, Yaroslav Askarov, Sebastian Kosa, Jesper Wallstedt, Pyotr and Andreyanov, sorry, he was last year, and Joshua Ravensburger, both last year.
All right, you're not counting Al Montoya because that was the year of the
no,
the
that's
lockout.
2004. Salary cap era is 05, 06.
05 and 0, yeah, going on.
Yeah. So everything since the new CBA was ratified, so this is not talking about Crosby, Carey Price, anything like that.
Got it.
CBA was not ratified then. Eight of those goalies have busted. Only 2 have become established elite goaltenders. So we're talking about Jake Ottinger and Andrei Vasilevsky, because Wallstedt is not an established elite goaltender yet. He's on his way there, but he's not yet. And there have been 10 years, 10 out of the 20 drafts, with no goalies taken in the first round. So I did the numbers. Out of the possible picks, there was a possible 631 first-round picks in the salary cap era, between going from 30 to 31 to 32 teams. 17 goalies out of a possible 631 first-round draft picks. That tells you that goalies are not valued the same way that centers and defensemen are. Also, another thing, look at the contract history. Shesterkin was only the 3rd goaltender in the history of the NHL to make $10 million in the salary cap era. Brodeur made 10 beforehand, but now there's a salary cap, and there's only been 3 goalies that have done it, and it took until about like 10 years into the cap era for Carey Price to break that.
Yeah.
Like, goalies are not valued the same way. They are valued like running backs in football.
Yeah. And the days of your goalie being the number 1 option. But this is the funny thing. They do the AB thing all the time, Phil. But what they really need to do is more of a 60-23. So that way your goalie has a little bit more endurance behind him. Henrik Lundqvist didn't play under 60 games from his second season all the way to, I want to say it was the year he got injured. I want to say it was 2014. He didn't play below 60 games. So it took a shot to the throat in order to get Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah, and as Josh is joking about it, build out the NYR way. But I mean, you look at the goalies that won. What's the most dominant teams we've seen over the last 30 years? Tampa Bay's got the elite goaltender, but Vazzy wasn't drafted in the first round.
Yes, he was.
Oh, I'm sorry, he was.
He was in 2012. He was first round pick.
My mistake. I was trying to think of Corey Crawford, who wasn't drafted in the first round. Antti Niemi wasn't drafted in the first round, so there goes most of Chicago's goalies. Yes, Fleury drafted in the first round in 2009 for that cup, but the backbone of that of the next 2 cups for the Penguins were Matt Murray. He wasn't a first round draft pick. You can make a goalie and get you. There's more Bill Ranfords out there, as you've said all the time, Phil, than there is the Henrik Lundqvist. And what happens is, as soon as you get on that second contract, where now you're paying him elite money, your chances of winning go down because you're stuck with so much of the cap number. And the Rangers should have learned from Lundqvist, because Lundqvist in that second contract won 2 playoff series in 2015. And by the way, he won them. Cam Talbot was in net. The Rangers were done. And then he won 2017. That was the end of his career. Like, that's it. You compare that to the contract before that, when he was making in the $4 million, when he won two series in 2012, a series in 2013, where he didn't allow a goal in the last 120 minutes of a series against the top scoring team in the league. Woo! And then 2014, winning 3 playoff series with an extension in tow, but that's a different story. So even though we're going to be wrapping this up in a minute, by the way.
Yeah, I also did other research on this. So, I mean, if you look at the salary cap era, you go over the list of goalies that won, that were considered elite at the time they won, have to throw that in there just because there are some goalies that
like Braden Holtby is an elite when he wins.
Yeah, no. So Braden Holtby, although he did win, he didn't enter the playoffs as Washington's starter. Grubauer did. And he lost the starting job to Holtby in that series against Columbus. So, but yes, you have to look at these. You have to look at this list, and there's 3 goalies that won while they were elite. Tim Thomas, who won the Vezina in the same year, he's the only goalie in the cap era to do it. By the way, Vasilevsky, and then the other one would be Jonathan Quick. Oh, no, sorry. There would be 4 if you consider Sergei Bobrovsky's 2024 season where he was a Vezina finalist.
Yeah, that's still
But he
debatable.
also almost blew that series for Florida with his play in games 4 through 6. Got to remember, Bobrovsky, his contract was considered an albatross up until 2023 when Alex Lyon had to get Florida into the playoffs.
Yep. And that's one of those funny things. And by the way, we didn't mention it earlier, but I don't blame last night's loss on UPL. But again, yeah, Hank is now, if you did a list of the greatest athletes never to win a championship, probably the best I'd say is Ted Williams or Dan Marino, 1 and 2 right there. I'm not going to put Marcel Dion up that high. You could argue Lundqvist or Iginla next. There's a lot of those guys. I would go. I'm a huge Dan Marino fan. I'm inclined to say Marino is number 1, but Ted Williams is right there, guys. Arguably the greatest hitter of all time.
Yeah.
There are guys that never won in the NBA, like Ewing or Barkley. Because
I would probably have Barkley higher up than Ewing. I mean, Barkley won an MVP, but
yes, and Patrick never did.
You know, Cal Ripken, I think, is probably
Cal Ripken won his rookie year.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, 83. Baltimore. Yeah.
But yeah, Hank's Game 7 numbers are amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, the argument that constantly comes up is that Igor's playoff numbers. Okay, Igor's the best goalie in the playoffs. No, he's actually not. Vasilevsky is the guy that's really been the best in the playoffs of this generation, and his closeout numbers are unbelievable as well. The fact of the matter is that you paid a goalie to be like Dominik Hasek, and he's not Dominik Hasek. Henrik Lundqvist was closer to Dominik Hasek than Igor Shesterkin was. And they didn't win with Lundqvist. You have to build down the middle in order to win. And this team does not build down the middle. And trying to make the same mistake twice and do the same thing that they did previously with Lundqvist is a textbook definition of insanity.
Yeah, and that's also where they thought, again, that's a problem. Once they traded Jacob Trouba, that was admitting that their cup window was closing, if not closed. And adding JT Miller was a big mistake. And I do not care what I heard from the Kachuk brothers podcast this week, how great of a teammate JT Miller is. You had him for 2 weeks, not a full season. You can tell by looking on the bench how many guys respect him, listen to him, and actually want to play for him. You can also tell the guys that don't want to listen to a single word he says. There's plenty of those.
Yeah, I listen. I'll have to take my lumps here. I said that they were going to bring him in to change culture. I don't think it was the right move. I don't think it was the right move. I think they should have rebuilt. I said that literally after the Florida loss in Game 6. I came on that night and I said it, that they should have rebuilt, but they went down this path, and now you have to make sure you hit with Carls or whoever it is you take at 5, or you have to find a way to move up from 26 to 2 and get that second pick from San. And I don't believe San Jose is going to trade that pick. I don't.
Yeah.
I think they're making that pick.
I think they're taking Chase Reed. That's what I think.
I think so too. I think they need another. They have a good group down the middle right now with Celebrini and Misa. They're not going to deal Misa unless they get some insanely elite level talent back. That in return, he's going to be a part of a package for a bigger deal. But I don't think they want to even deal Misa. I think they want to build around the two of them.
We're definitely going to have some ranking shows and some other things. I know I'm definitely going to tell the story of John Scott this offseason because that's always a great story to retell. But there's going to be a lot of that stuff that's going to be going around for us because we have a ton of content we're going to be working on all the time. Phil did the number 1 overall draft picks last year. I did the joke about the 10 best Connors in the league. Well, there's going to be more of that. So, guys, don't worry. There's going to be plenty of comments. Do you think Dolan puts pressure on Drury to get Tuck and overpay for him? I think that's not going to be an option. I think Tuck resigns in Buffalo well beforehand. You're telling me I'm from that area, they're finally good, and I get to be part of it? Tuck's going to want to stay. All right, guys. And by the way, Josh, yeah, and obviously I agree. Guys, thank you very much for watching this episode of Big Apple Hockey. We're going to be back tomorrow. We will have an NHL bar talk tomorrow. We're going to be working on that and some more pick'ems, and also maybe shuffle things around for the A block, even though I think we actually just used all of our A block material today. But we'll see how that all shakes out. But I am working tonight, and I'm also working tomorrow night. So yay! It's great. I hope probably 1:30 tomorrow. Probably do a shorter show tomorrow with obscurities and Puck Doku in there. Maybe we'll do an hour and a half show. So, and we'll go back on this, recap some of our things. But yeah, there's always more hockey to talk about, as Josh says right there.
Johnny was asking what time, usual time, right?
Usual time, 1:30 in that area.
Yeah.
We're going to see about with that. All right. But guys, thank you very much, everyone. And it's always a great time to talk. And everybody, we'll see you tomorrow.